Good evening, gentlemen. How are you, Dave? How are you, Ben?
Hello, hello.
Doing awesome.
Guys, I want to talk about pancakes for a second. I have been living under the illusion for the last several years, maybe a decade or more, that all you need with pancakes is maple syrup.
Um,
And a couple, yes, pancake thoughts?
actually, pancakes are just a vehicle for maple syrup. It's because it's not socially acceptable to drink it out of the bottle.
That's true. I mean, what else is it
That is
for?
true. I used to have a
But
friend that would put slices of American cheese on his pancakes.
that's just
What?
weird.
Yeah, with the syrup. So I don't know.
That's just weird. I don't like that.
But anyway, I digress. Continue, please.
Well, a couple of days ago, I decided to also put butter on my pancakes.
Well,
Because
yeah.
I just thought butter is probably not adding much to the equation, but I was so wrong.
So wrong.
Butter enhances pancakes like you wouldn't believe, and I have learned the error of my ways. And if I ever have pancakes again, there will be butter in addition to the syrup.
Butter.
That has nothing to do with movies. So
I
we'll
was waiting
start
for
getting
a
to
segue.
movies pretty
I
soon.
don't know.
Well, sometimes I'm just stream of consciousness. I lived in an apartment that had black mold in it at one point, and think, "Whoa, what are you doing? Whoa!" I think some AI shit's going on with my camera. But I live.
Perfect timing. You're like, I live in this apartment with black mold, and it just reveals your room.
Well, there goes the illusion that I'm in the Ewok village. But yes, I'm here live from the Ewok village tonight. Pay no attention to those things on the other side of the curtain. But yeah, Dave and Ben, we didn't introduce ourselves last week when we started this show,
We did
which
not.
probably didn't matter because most of the people watching are people who know us. But just in case there's someone watching who has no freaking idea who we are,
Hi, Mom.
I thought I'd let you
She's not
guys
watching.
let's introduce ourselves. Just take a minute, like keep it to a minute. But who is Dave Pruett? What are his dreams?
Where do I start? I'm a former film school dropout and also a former film festival director for 10 years. Scott worked with me on that festival. And,
Dark Carnival.
Yeah, and also worked on special effects, props. Again, all working with Scott on half a dozen movies, 6 or 7 movies now, I think.
And Dave directed the short film at the beginning of Headless called Wolf Baby. It was originally a whole short film, but then it just got turned into a trailer at the beginning of Headless.
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct.
So Ben, who the hell is Ben? What is Ben all about?
Not much to say. I'm an amateur filmmaker and writer. I also went to film school. That's actually how I met Scott. We had a final class project where we had to recruit a director from somebody outside the school and pay them a per diem and all of that. And Scott was kind enough to come out and work with us on that. And I've been friends with him ever since. I've done a couple short films as an amateur filmmaker that have gone to a couple festivals, but I've also worked on a couple professional shows in the production department, like in the production office. So yeah, I'm just here because I share an unabiding love of film and really do need more people to talk about it with. So.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. That was definitely one of the best things about going out there to that film school. Did you say the name of the school?
Yeah, it's the George Romero filmmaking program.
Oh, yeah.
In the Pittsburgh area. Yeah.
I thought it was just so cool to be asked to come to that particular program because I'm, of course, a big admirer of George Romero. So, and Ben was definitely one of the best things to come out of that whole experience. Although it was nice to work with the kids, I don't think the movie ever got done. I'm Scott Schirmer. I make movies. I've made Found, or I've directed Found, and I co-produced Headless. The director of Headless, Arthur Culliford, is actually going to be on our show in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned. We're going to start having some guests every now and then. Arthur will be one of the first. And I also worked with Brian Williams on some movies called Harvest Lake, Plank Face, Space Base from Outer Space, and we just made a new one this year called Gush. So if anybody knows me, it's mostly from the indie filmmaking, but I am getting to the age where I like to watch movies way more than I like to make them. Making movies is hard.
So hard.
It sucks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So bad.
It never gets easier. It's so hard. I mean, I guess it can be fun, but right now I'm just like, Life is short. I want to watch movies and talk about movies, and that's one of the reasons we have this podcast now. But I am in the Ewok village tonight. What? Dude, I got here early so I could have this seat. Don't you talk about my mother that way. They're so cute in Return of the Jedi, but in real life, they're assholes. I'm telling you, they haven't been nice. I don't know if I'm going to be coming back here or not. But anyway, we've got a lot planned for today's show. We're going to be reviewing Frankenstein, that Guillermo del Toro just directed and put on Netflix, although it's also limited in theaters. We're going to talk about Predator Badlands, which did surprisingly well at the box office this weekend. We're going to talk about the box office as well. And then we're going to review The Descent on 4K from Lionsgate Limited. And we're also going to go back in time to revisit 3 movies. The first will be 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then I think we're going to do Burnt, the Bradley Cooper movie that came out in 2015, and Possession with Sam Neill and Isabella Gianni, which is a trippy little movie that if you've never heard of it, you need to stay tuned so you can learn about that one. And also, you're not going to want to miss our interview with the monolith from 2001. I tracked it down. It's not done a lot of interviews. It's been a reclusive monolith. But tonight, he's here. We're going to ask him about God and the meaning of life and making 2001 with Stanley Kubrick. It should be one of the most amazing media events since Geraldo Rivera took us into Al Capone's vault. So that's coming up. And I also wanted
which was empty, by the way.
Shh. And also, if you're new to the show, we got a chat on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, I think you might also be watching us on Facebook. I don't know how Facebook works with chats, but we're going to be monitoring the chat, and all throughout the show, if we see a chat that's relevant to what we're talking about, we'll bring it up. And if it's not relevant, we'll bring it up in between segments. So please, if you've seen a movie or you've got thoughts, share them. We would love to hear from you. And Dave, I think that's pretty much our cue. I'm going to look for our first little video intro to our first section, which is movie news. I don't see you guys. You're blacked out. I got to try and get these guys in here. Dave, Ben, can you talk? Hey, there's Ben.
There we are.
Let me see if I can bring Dave back in. I think we had this technical issue last week as well.
Ben, where are you?
There's
he
Ben.
is.
So technical errors will happen. Bear with us. But the first big article in the news is the box office. We always want to start the show off with the box office because what else? What better way is there to kind of see what's going on with movies today? Predator Badlands opened this weekend. They were estimating that it was going to make $25 million domestically, and it surpassed their expectations and made $40 domestically and $80 worldwide, which is pretty decent. I saw it. Ben, you saw it, right?
Yes, I did.
Dave, you did not see it.
See Frankenstein?
No, Predator.
Predator? No, I have not seen Predator. No.
Well, apparently enough people went to see it to put it first at the box office, and we're going to be talking about it a little bit later in today's show because 2 of us saw it. And I think the budget, when I was trying to look up what the budget for this movie was, because the budget really determines whether or not these movies are going to be true financial successes or not. I saw one estimate that it was $105 million to make, and another that it was closer to $200 million to make. So I think it's going to need to make at least like 250 to 350 million, depending on what that budget was, to break even. But it seems like with $80 million in its opening weekend, it might have a shot at doing that, which is a rarity for Disney these days. They had a hit with Lilo and Stitch, and I think their sequel with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, Freakier Friday, might have made a little money from what I've seen. But everything else they've done this year, this might be one of their big hits of the year.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
That's
yeah, it's
all we got
just,
to say about that.
it's, I don't know how much you can say without going into the movie like we're going to later, but it is interesting to see. I guess it is surprising that it has that much of an opening right off the hop. I think as far as the Alien and Predator universes go, just from my knowledge, I think Alien usually has a little bit more wider audience appeal than Predator.
Yeah.
Just because and it's interesting because I think they tackled that, and maybe that's the secret sauce with this film. But it did kind of have a little bit more of a lower budget, like high octane, masculine sort of feel to it, especially the first
In
film.
some ways.
Yeah.
We'll get to that though.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you say about it because this is the first the first AVP type movie that I've been excited about for a long time. So
I think it should be. Granted, I haven't seen 2 or 3 of the other ones. I don't know how many they've made. I kind of gave up after one of the first AVP movies because I didn't like it. But I will go ahead and spoil the beans. I like this a lot more than I thought I was going to like it.
Hmm.
But here's what the box office this weekend looks like. Regretting You is also kind of a surprise because if you look at how much it dropped in that column that says percent LW, it only dropped like 8 or 9%. That's kind of unheard of for a movie. Usually movies drop anywhere from 40 to 60% in their second weekend. Horror movies drop like as much as 70, 75 because horror fans come out opening weekend
and then that's it.
or they don't come out at all.
Or they don't come out at all.
Star Trek movies are always like that too. But for a rom-com, I'm assuming Regretting You is a rom-com. I don't know that much about it, honestly. To only drop 8 or 9% means it's getting good word of mouth. That means a lot of women are going to see this movie and they're telling all their friends about it. And that's a big surprise hit for Paramount. What else is going on in this top 10? There's another damn anime movie doing well. Last week there was the Demon Hunters movie, but that was only for last week. It's not still in theaters. Otherwise, I think it would probably still be in the top 10. But Chainsaw Man is an anime movie that's still kind of holding on and making pretty good bucks. I think it says 38 million there that it's made. That's pretty good. Anime is doing very well at the box office these days.
How many weeks has Black Phone 2 been out?
Well, it says so on there, but it's so little on my screen. I have a hard time seeing it.
Looks
But,
like it looks like 4 weeks.
4.
Yeah, 4 weekends in release, and I think that was like a Halloween film, and I'm kind of surprised it's in the top 3. I was not a big fan of Black Phone 1, so
yeah, I thought Black Phone 1 was okay. I didn't want to see Black Phone 2, but horror always makes money.
It does.
It's news if a horror film does not make money. Like, I worked for a company once that was wanting to make a movie, and I told them it needs to be a horror movie. And they were like, ew, horror movies. We don't want to make one of those. And I'm like, well, I guess you don't want to make money then. Because horror is bank, man. It is the most surefire way to make money. And Black Phone 2, it had a budget of 30 million. It's already made 70 so far. So the way the box office works, you have to think with the grosses that are reported to us, half of that goes to the studio and half of it goes to the theaters. So if a movie cost 100 million to make, and then the box office makes 100 million, the studio is only getting 50 million of that. So it has to recoup that amount, and you also have to take into account how much they spend on marketing, which we don't always know. So usually it has to make like 3 times its budget to like break even. But it looks like Black Phone 2 is definitely going to do that. To say nothing of like streaming, licensing, and home video.
I think that's the other area where horror films excel is that they don't tend to spend a whole lot of money on marketing. They just kind of know that the audience is going to turn out and that they'll,
and they do.
And they do. Yeah.
They're the most loyal fans ever. I worked at a video store and we had a number of horror fans that would come I can't remember what day of the week the movies went out. But there were a number of people who would just come in and say, what are the new horror films? They didn't care what they were. We would warn them how bad some of them were. They did not care. Horror fans have to have an encyclopedic knowledge of the genre. They want to see everything. It's a very loyal audience when it comes to what kind of genre you want to make a movie in. You're a fool not to be dabbling in horror films. So that's the box office. now we got to go to some sad news because somebody's always dying in Hollywood. And this week we lost not that one, that one. That's right, Dave. Good job. Diane Ladd was one of my favorite actresses, and I'm not just saying that. Like, if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago before she died, who were like 5 of my favorite actresses, I promise you Diane Ladd would have been one of them. And she hasn't even been in that many movies, but she made such an impact on me from Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore and Wild at Heart in particular. And she got Oscar nominations for those 2 roles, in addition to a third nomination for Rambling Rose. And I always wish she was in more movies because I always loved seeing her in movies. She was in a lot of movies for just a little bit. She had very small roles. Everybody probably remembers National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. She's one of the grandmothers in there. I don't think she's got very many lines. She has a very little part in Joy with Jennifer Lawrence that I thought was an amazing film. She was in Chinatown, Ghost of Mississippi, and she's in a movie that I have not seen, and I don't think, Ben, have you seen Carnosaur?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've been waiting for Carnosaur to come out on home video so I can check it out.
Yeah,
Because
it's
Gene Siskel gave it a thumb up.
yeah.
A
It's
dinosaur.
different. Yeah, and it, it's just interesting because she was starring in that when Roger Corman was cashing in on the impending hype of Jurassic Park. Carnosaur came out before Jurassic Park, and he was cashing in, anticipating that hype. And her daughter was starring in Jurassic Park while she was starring in this B movie cash in. So
It's
she
kind of
was
interesting
awesome in it.
because
It's kind of sorry.
no, go ahead.
It's kind of funny how Carnosaur and Jurassic Park exist in the same span of a few years, and the disparity in the special effects, right? Which you just don't see that anymore. You don't now. A B movie has, generally the same special effects that a blockbuster movie has. You can see a little bit of a difference, but I mean, there's nowhere near the disparity that there used to be, like back in the 80s. See, when you see movies that came out around the same time Star Wars came out, or a little bit after Star Wars came out, and the range of special effects from Star Wars to, I'm trying to think of a good example, but there's just so many like shitty movies came out like in the 70s that were trying to capitalize on Star Wars, and the special effects were just not even close.
Battle Beyond the Stars.
Battle Beyond the Stars. That's a really good
Outland.
Outland. Yeah, those are really good.
There's a reason we don't remember them.
but you just don't see that anymore now. Now everything's pretty much kind of on par.
Well, Diane Ladd had such a down to earth. She felt like a family member. I think that's why I love her so much, is that she reminded me so much of one of my grandmothers and several of my aunts. She just seemed like a real, genuine person, and she wasn't acting. She was one of those actors that it didn't look like she was working. She was just being herself. And I don't know, I just adored her. She's also got a little neat bit of history attached to her because she and her daughter, Laura Dern, were both nominated for Rambling Rose, and I think only one other set of parent-child was ever nominated like that, and that was Jane Fonda and Henry Fonda for On Golden Pond. Someone's buzzing. Hope it's not me.
It's not me.
Now, Dave, you were buzzing when we did a tech rehearsal a couple of weeks ago.
I was muted, so I don't know.
It's
know.
fine now.
I did not hear a buzz, but I'll take that.
All right. It's fine now, but we'll be on buzz patrol. So yeah, Laura Dern passed away, and I hope that some of her great movies like Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Gosh, she played Flo before Polly Holliday took over the role on the TV show. Laura Dern, or her mother, Diane Ladd, originated Flo the waitress in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and I just love her to death in that show. So, R.I.P. Diane Ladd, you were freaking awesome, and you will be missed. We also had another death. Lee Tamahori, a director, died age 75 from complications of Parkinson's disease. He was a New Zealand-born director, and his big claim to fame, what put him on the map, was the film Once Were Warriors, which is a pretty good movie. I saw that several years ago, but a lot of people watching will probably remember him most for The Edge with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. He also directed one of the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies, Die Another Day. But that is enough death and doom and gloom. Let's see what the hell Hollywood's up to, because they're usually up to some shenanigans and bullshit. Okay, we got another Mummy movie coming. What do we think of that, guys?
Well,
I think it's cool.
yeah,
I mean,
I'll watch Brendan Fraser in anything. So
yeah, he's sort of been rediscovered by more modern audiences and stuff because he was his career was a little bit on hiatus for a while, and then he did The Whale, and that put him back on the map. I'd be curious if this is going to be a direct sequel or a reboot. I'm not sure how they consider audience memory to be at this point, but if it's the same actors, I assume it's going to be a sequel.
I keep seeing it referred to as Mummy 4. So I think it's supposed to be a sequel. It'll be interesting to see. He's clearly, I don't think he's an action movie kind of guy anymore. So maybe his role will be something different, maybe like more of a mentor or something like that. I don't know, but
hey, if Harrison Ford can still run around and fall down, so can Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that's a good point.
I like Brendan Fraser, but I love Rachel Weisz. So
yeah,
I really like these
see her
films
in just about anything.
Back in the day, like the first two at least. I think they got a little goofy after, like with the third one.
You didn't like Scorpion King? You didn't love the CGI of Scorpion King?
Legendarily bad CGI in that one. Oh my goodness.
The movie
I dropped out after the second one too.
Yeah, I remember the scarab beetles freaking me out as a kid.
The movie that made The Rock a star?
Oh yeah.
Well, we've got The Mummy 4, and we've also got Gremlins 3, and this one is further along because they've even set a release date. They're saying 2 years from right now, Gremlins 3 will be upon us.
Wow.
Now, the thing that gives me hope here is that Steven Spielberg is executive producing, and the original screenwriter of Gremlins, Chris Columbus, who went on to later direct Mrs. Doubtfire and the first couple of Harry Potter movies, is directing this movie. Joe Dante, who directed the original film, is not connected with this new Gremlins 3. I hope that's perhaps by his choice, because Joe Dante is a big reason why I love the first Gremlins movie and like the second one. And without his sensibilities, this is bound to be something pretty different, although potentially still good, I guess. What do you guys think?
What about the cast? Are they bringing back like Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates? And
I have not heard about any cast being attached. It'd be weird. How long does a Mogwai live? Like, I have no idea.
Who knows?
Like, if it's like a dog or a cat, Gizmo's been dead a long time.
Oh.
But maybe he's like something else, like an elephant or something. I don't know. He's little, though. I don't know. The writers are Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein. I think they have credits on a Final Destination movie. I could be wrong about that or not. I didn't double check. The other thing I was thinking about with this is Warner Brothers is on the verge of selling itself. Like, they're for sale.
Yeah.
So if someone buys them and decides they don't want a Gremlins movie, maybe this won't happen. So I don't know.
They could end up in development hell somewhere.
Could, but the way things are going, it's just a matter of time, probably.
Or maybe it will be the vehicle that Corey Feldman uses to make a comeback.
We wish Corey Feldman well. You know what else is coming? Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair. Now, when Tarantino originally conceived of Kill Bill, he wanted it to be one big movie. He shot it, I think, to be one big, like 4-hour-long movie. But then Miramax convinced him he needed to chop it in two and release it in 2 movies 6 months apart. I just watched Kill Bill 1 and 2 this year, like a night apart from each other. And I'm not sure that I really personally want to sit for 4 hours and watch the whole thing back to back, especially since I don't think there's any extra content. So I'm not sure that this is something I personally care about all that much, but hey, all Tarantino's good Tarantino. So if you want to get out there, they're releasing it on December 5. They say it's going to be in all major markets, whatever that means. I'm guessing it's not going to be anywhere near where I'm at in Indiana because
Probably
nothing
not.
ever comes to me. And if you really want to, it's also going to be on some 35 and 70 millimeter prints. So if that's your bag, you can look for one of those in just under a month from Lionsgate. What do you guys think about Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair?
I mean, I have this is going to be one of my hot takes. I have mixed feelings on Tarantino. Like I used to just I couldn't stand his stuff before. I thought he was really overrated. I felt like he was recycling ideas that were in their prime, 70s exploitation films and stuff, which I love. Like I'm not taking away from that, but he took those ideas that already existed, got big name.
Just for that, I ought to give you a set of elephant balls.
Tread carefully, Ben. Tread carefully. A
Yeah.
lot of people love Tarantino.
Oh
you
yeah,
film
no, I know.
snob.
This is a hot take. It's not necessarily film snob thing. It's like I always felt like he just gets a lot of A-list actors together and puts them in a room and tells them to improv and spins the camera around them. And a lot of the magic is coming from the actors more so than the quality of the direction or the writing, in my opinion, most of the time. However, as years progressed, so this is like back when he was like really hyped early 2000s, and I had those feelings. But as years went on, I realized how bad movies were going to get. And so, with that retroactive perspective that he has with his films, I have more admiration for it now. I always enjoyed Reservoir Dogs, but aside from that, everything else was a little. That and his thing with feet's kind of weird too. I don't know, but I have more of an open mind moving forward. I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet, but I would like to. But,
I feel like some people don't like Tarantino just because he's popular.
Yeah.
But just because you're popular doesn't mean you're not brilliant.
Well, yeah. But I did like his double feature project that he did with Robert Rodriguez, the Grindhouse double feature. That was awesome. Like
see, that's funny because that's my least favorite of his things.
Well, here's the thing, and even in that case, I liked Planet Terror more than Tarantino's contribution. But I just
Death Proof.
Death Proof, yes. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my feelings on Tarantino. Like I said, I'm moving forward with how rough modern films have been lately. I have more of an open mind with Tarantino, but yeah, that's usually one that gets me in trouble. Is that I just think he's a little bit overrated, but yeah.
To me, he's a sure thing. Like, I don't care how popular he is. I like every single movie he's done. I love 3 or 4 of his movies.
Yeah.
My least favorite's probably Django Unchained, but I still liked it. And his last one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is probably my favorite. Possibly, quite possibly.
That movie is probably in like my top 20 movies right now. Maybe in my top 10, but definitely my top 20.
And I haven't seen that one yet, so who knows? Maybe that will convert me. I don't
Have
know.
you seen Jackie Brown?
No.
Oh,
then you haven't seen 2 of his very best. So
no.
Check those out, man. You might turn around on Tarantino.
Yeah.
Well, I know people just are absolutely enamored with Pulp Fiction. I didn't get anything from that film. It just felt very. Of course, the exchange with Samuel Jackson. Do you speak English? I mean, that's classic. And the Mushroom Cloud Lane and the guy getting shot in the car. Like those moments are great.
Yeah,
again, it's coming from the chemistry of the actors, and it's just a lot of it.
They're
known for
saying his dialogue.
Improv.
Yeah,
and
I know he doesn't improv that much. They're slavish to his scripts.
And then I was reading his novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, just spot reading it here and there, and it was rough. I'm like, this this beloved auteur of, I don't know. Those are my feelings on Tarantino.
I think it's legit that with what were we just talking? What movie were we just talking about, Ben?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. I think that movie is it works as a collection of scenes. It's got some really great scenes. I would agree that it's not. I think that is the one movie of his that is hyped a lot. That is not among my favorites. But I think you can't deny that if you take it as like some individual scenes, there's like a lot of brilliance in there in pieces. So.
Well, I know that the in Reservoir Dogs, the scene where they're debating tipping, like that was all improv. and it's one of the most exceptional scenes in the film. But it just kind of underscores that he just kind of, and he's known for the running take too. He'll just let the camera run and run and run until his actors come up with something great in the course of their improv. And I don't know, it's
I need to get in your head and give you a lobotomy.
not saying the movies. I'm not saying the movies are necessarily awful. They're just a little bit overrated when you look under the hood, I feel like. But I don't know.
Well, you said one thing, right? Compared to all the other movies coming out, he's good. But I would say compared to everything that ever came out, he's really good. I think his legacy is going to be around as long as anyone's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Ben. Oh, Ben.
Oh, Ben.
It flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
That is how I talk.
Well, then we've got Miss Piggy. Now, I love the Muppets. Love them. And I love Jennifer Lawrence and I love Emma Stone. I think they're two of my favorite actresses. They might even be my very, very most favorite actresses of their age working today. This Cola Scola person, the only thing I know about them is that they won a Tony for a Broadway play. I can't remember what it was called. Oh, Mary is what it was called. I don't know. I don't have enough information to know if this is a good idea or not. Every time they try to do something with the Muppets, you never know how it's going to go. It seems to be a really hard intellectual property to crack. But man, when they do it right, when they do it like they did in the original Muppet movie, which I adore, I just adore the original Muppet movie, or a Muppet Christmas Carol that came out in the early 90s, I think. And even when they made the first Muppet reimagined movie, like, I don't know, was that 10, 15 years ago with Jason Segel and Amy Adams, I think, were in it. That one wasn't bad either. But then for every like good thing that they do with the Muppets, they end up doing something terrible too. This could go either way. But I'm hopeful. I am very hopeful because the Muppets need love. We need the Muppets in our world. Thoughts? Ben, are you a Muppet person?
I think I passively watched the Muppets as a kid, but I don't have any.
Because it was past your time, right?
That was right around my time, I feel like, but yeah, I don't know.
You were born in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What year?
91.
92, 91.
Oh.
So
Get off my
Muppet
lawn, Ben.
Yeah, I was in college then. And you were probably at the right age for Muppet Treasure Island when that came out. That was a good one. With Tim Curry as Long John Silver. That was another good one. I wish they could find more like that. I don't know if Miss Piggy all by herself is going to do it, but if Jennifer Lawrence and Emma Stone think there's something there, I hope they're right, and I'm all for it if it works. If it doesn't work, I'll be sad.
I think if anybody could pull it off, it's probably them. So.
Well, let's hope for the best then with that. And we're going to move on from movie news to what is next? Oh, we're doing some home video releases. This is a fun part of the show. Vinegar Syndrome. Ben, you visited Vinegar Syndrome, didn't you?
Yeah, they're the archive store, they call it, in Connecticut, in Bridgeport. It was really cool. And now they have one in Pittsburgh as well.
And they've got like a lot of sub-labels. And one of them is called Cinematograph or Cinematography. God only knows how to pronounce this word. Do you know, Ben, how to pronounce this highfalutin word?
I think it's probably just cinematography, just spelled.
Since we're talking about Vinegar Syndrome, I got to take a drink of my amaretto sour.
Oh.
Because Vinegar Syndrome, as a label, gives me fits. But at close range, I hear is a good movie. I've never seen it. Have either of you seen it?
I have not, no.
It's got Sean Penn, Christopher Walken. Yeah.
That's enough for me. Yeah.
Well, Vinegar Syndrome Cinematography, whatever label is putting it out. It's a 1986 movie. It's got a new commentary track with some film historians, so I don't know about that. But it also has a new interview with Christopher Walken and a new interview with Sean Penn. and the casting directors, and it's got a new video essay, and then it's got a handful of legacy features. So I have to say that they are at least getting some new special features on this, and Vinegar Syndrome is famous for really good scans of their movies. So if Vinegar Syndrome puts your movie out, you can usually rest assured that it's going to be a great transfer, at least visually.
I saw the machine they used for that to do the scans for transfers. It was just stuck in a little closet with enough room for a chair to sit in front of it.
Well, it
And
does
that was
damn
where the
good
magic
work.
happens. Yeah.
It does damn good work, because
Yeah.
I don't think I can't even remember a time that people criticized the scan from Vinegar Syndrome. But Vinegar Syndrome doesn't always pick great movies. I think At Close Range is a good title, probably.
But they make great cover art. That's enough.
Sometimes.
Lately, it's been a little inconsistent, but I want to say around the time I was in film school, 2018, they set the absolute standard for slipcase art if you're, a connoisseur, that sort of thing. But
They are putting out the Garbage Pail Kids movie. Anybody seen this one?
I have not, but I know
No.
you're a fan.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I thought you said I could have sworn that
No.
you were talking about you wanted to do something in the spirit of this film or something.
I am scared of it, and I do want to see it someday, but I have sort of purposefully avoided it because I'm sure it sucks. Vinegar Syndrome is a label unlike hardly any other label in that they will seek out the biggest crap that the industry has ever dropped out of its collective anus upon society.
And they'll say, let's make it 4K.
And make it 4K, give it a beautiful transfer, get some new they polish more turds than anyone in the world. And this is certainly one of those turds. Like, I don't even know if this movie's got any legitimate fans. Everybody that I've seen on Facebook knows how awful it is, but they're still going to buy it because Vinegar Syndrome as a label has prestige among collectors. They will literally buy whatever the hell Vinegar Syndrome shoves down their throats.
They got numbered
So-
signs like Criterion. So
Ugh.
it's enough to trigger collector OCD.
I am not one of those collectors that organizes my shelves, my movie collection by label. I just don't. But there are a lot that do, and that's like a whole level of OCD that I'm not. I'm not there. I organize mine by year of release, which is another level of OCD, but I don't think it's as bad. I don't think it's as bad.
Well, you've got something to aspire to now.
Anyway, they're doing Garbage Pail movies. It's 4K. It's got Dolby Vision. It's a new scan and a restoration from the 35mm camera negative. So they are really going all out for it, like they do most of their stuff. It's got new interviews with actress Katie Barberi and a new interview with effects artist Hal Miles. It's got a 40-page book and a lot of legacy features, but it's mono sound only. They are not doing anything to update the soundtrack. It's going to be mono.
Well,
So I'm not buying this.
you're not going to buy it. I was going to say if you buy it, I'll come to Schirmer Cinema and watch it.
No, you wouldn't.
I totally would. I absolutely
No,
would. If you're
I
gonna,
am morbid. I am morbidly curious. I'll watch this movie someday, but I'm not spending. Plus, I think it's $60, probably 40 or 60. They're pricey.
Yeah, they can be. Especially if they get they have cool box sets, like the Beastmaster one is incredible. Even when I
Yeah.
thought I was ready to trade it to you, I just was looking at them like I can't.
Well, I ended up buying a copy. I own 3 Vinegar Syndrome releases. I have Beastmaster, and I have the Deranged, where Robert Blossom plays Ed Gein, and I have a movie called Best Friends. But yeah, they don't put out a whole lot of stuff for me. Which brings me to their third little release that they're putting out. They're because they don't have enough sublabels. They're putting out another sublabel called Reviver. And what they're saying about this is the Reviver sublabel releases lost films and missing movies found within the Vinegar Syndrome Film Archive. Each release is a mystery box of archival curios scanned from their best surviving film elements and programmed by Vinegar Syndrome archivist and vault manager Oscar Becker. In the spirit of the hunt for lost films, each limited edition also includes a 1 in 10 chance of featuring holographic variant sleeve artwork. That is just crack for collectors, man. That is just crack. Purchases of the Reviver releases directly fund archival expenses and day-to-day maintenance of the film archive. They are selling a movie and you don't even know what it is. And they put out a special allotment of this movie to be available a few days or a week ago, and it sold out. I think there will be more copies available Black Friday. I could be wrong. But the fact that this sold out to any extent, in any way, shape, or form, and no one knows what the hell they're buying,
Yeah. Are they?
flabbergasts me.
Is it feature length? Because when it says like
I
curios,
don't think
and
so.
it just sounds like it's a lot of different, just even instructional videos from the 70s that
Yeah.
if you're something.
I think it's going to be something like that, like anti-marijuana, like public service announcements, cartoons. I don't know. It is a collection of things. I saw somewhere on the page on their website that it collectively it has a runtime of something, so it's not just one item. But still, Vinegar Syndrome. They'll either take a turd and polish it up for you, or they just won't even tell you what it is, and you'll still buy it.
It's a surprise turd.
Yeah,
A
not knowing
surprise
what
turd.
it is.
A mystery turd.
I mean, I will admit, like, I found this tape at a Goodwill one time, and it was, what was that, like, religious thing, 700 Club or something?
Yeah.
But it was a
700
tape
Club.
that they had put out about Satanism, and it was made in the 90s and what to look for in your neighborhood. And that's, like, one of my favorite items in my collection. I think I paid, like, 10 cents for it. So that kind of stuff can be cool, but not knowing what
Can
you're
be.
buying. And, yeah, I don't know.
Can be. So yeah, I don't get it.
This one feels like a stretch out of all their sublabels and everything. But
I've got a vinyl album like that, Ben, and the whole album is just where somebody has collected over time people's back when people used to use answering machines, and they had the tapes in them, and like somebody collected all these tapes from answering machines, and then they took all the best stuff they found and made a vinyl album out of it. And this was just like recently. This was like 10 years ago.
oh wow. Yeah, no, that sounds cool, but it's like not knowing. It's like I need to know
Yeah.
what they're putting this, and it's the fact that they're not telling you. It's like it makes it marketable because it's a mystery, but then they're not telling you probably for a reason. That means that what it actually is isn't more marketable than it being a mystery.
Exactly. Exactly. They have figured out that they have a better chance at getting your money if they don't tell you what you're buying than if they explicitly tell you what crap you're buying. So Vinegar Syndrome, man, like the bubble's got to burst someday, right? But it doesn't. There are YouTube channels where people are just shopping for 3 hours on the Vinegar Syndrome website, looking at all the crap.
Well,
So-
it's interesting because they kind of release stuff for other labels too. But what I noticed, there's a pattern where labels will announce they're partnering with Vinegar Syndrome, and then somewhere down the line they split ways. And I have to wonder if Vinegar Syndrome's skimming off the top quite a bit whenever they put out releases on their platform, or what that's about. But
I don't know. We got to get away from Vinegar Syndrome.
yeah.
Next. Hey, speak of the devil, we're talking about this movie later. Now, Ben, I traded you my Mondo edition of this movie, which is
Yes.
beautiful box set that's got like
Mhm.
blue crushed velvet on the outer box. I was a packaging whore. That's the main reason I like this movie, but I don't really love this movie. But when a movie I like has irresistible packaging, sometimes I will buy it. But since you loved it clearly more than I did,
Mhm.
I traded that cool edition to you. But now Second Sight is putting out an edition available December 8th. So are you thinking you might forego this edition and just stick with the one you've got?
This isn't necessarily one I would pull the trigger immediately, being like, oh yeah, I definitely got to get the 4K. I mean, maybe if the transfer is especially exceptional, but I really like
It
at
is
least
a new
with
one.
with the Mondo one, it has a nice level of film grain to it, and I feel like the colors are great and sufficient. And plus, like you said, like the box that you traded me has like that nice felt cover to it that I've never
Beautiful.
seen anything. It is an absolutely beautiful release.
It might be my favorite packaging for a movie.
I'll have to
ever.
have to see what people say about this transfer, and maybe, but
Well, it's
and
a new
then-
4K restoration with HDR and Dolby Vision, and it's producer approved because the director passed away a few years back. It's got DTS mono, again, no upgrade in sound. I'm assuming probably because the elements just don't lend themselves to creating stereo or 5.1. It's going to be $65, It's available for pre-order now on sites like Orbit DVD. It's got 2 new commentary tracks. It's going to have the North American re-edit of the movie, which from what I hear, you probably don't want to see. You probably want to see the original European version. It's also got a new featurette where Guillermo del Toro talks about how much he loves the movie. Of course he does, because there's a monster in it. And it's got archival features also. Comes with the limited edition, comes with a 220-page hardcover book, a shooting script, art cards, and a rigid slipcase. Second Sight, they're slick. They're probably my favorite boutique label. Like, I have their Hitcher, I have their Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I have their Changeling. I love the Second Sight treatment of films. And if I love this movie more, this would be on my agenda, but I'm going to stick with my Umbrella release. I have a not as fancy version of this movie, but it looks nice and it does me fine.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I really did like the transfer of dog soldiers from Second Sight. So, I mean, if they could rescue dog soldiers, I have to believe they could do some great things with this film, because it is a beautiful film in its own way. The way it's shot, I mean, it's very bleak and dark, but it's shot so well as a bleak and dark film.
It's got such a, well, we should save it for when we talk about the movie later. We'll move on to Kino. Kino Lorber, they do the Lord's work, picking up movies that just otherwise would never come out on 4K. Kino Lorber gets a lot of hate from people. I don't understand that, man.
I don't either.
Every movie doesn't need new special features or a new transfer. Sometimes you're lucky to get the dang movie in any way, shape, or form. Kino does that. And I say this because Kino put out The Scarlet Letter with Demi Moore. Yes, that terrible movie I adore. And if it weren't for Kino Lorber, I would never have that movie in its original aspect ratio of 2:3:5 or in high definition. So thank you, Kino Lorber. And now they're giving us Babe and Babe 2 Pig in the City. That'll do, Pig. That'll do. These both are going to have HDR, Dolby Vision. They're masters from the 4K scan of the 35mm negative. They're going to have new commentary by historian commentaries. I'm not so sure that that's the best. Depends on who the historian is, I suppose. They're both going to have 5.1 surround and lossless stereo tracks. And it looks like they both are also going to have new interviews with director George Miller, who, in case you didn't know, also gave us the Mad Max franchise. And Happy Feet with the Penguins. So I just love the fact that George Miller gave us such disparate films as Babe and Mad Max Fury Road. I just think that's amazing. I love to see that kind of versatility.
That is a range.
Creative talent. Hell yeah, it is. So if you like Babe and Babe 2 Pig in the City, which is a dark film, Babe 2 Pig in the City, surprisingly a dark film. And Babe 2 Pig in the City, interesting enough, the last year Gene Siskel was alive, he picked this as his favorite film of the year. Babe 2 Pig in the City. So if you've never seen it, don't sniff at it. Give it a whirl. This is sure to excite some people, I'm sure. Harry and the Hendersons. Kino likes to announce movies without release dates. This could be coming out next month or like 5 years from now.
Yeah, like,
but they're working on it.
They announced Ilsa so early. I thought it was a dead project, and then finally they started releasing the 4Ks. But
it drives some people crazy that they just announce things way in advance, and then you just have no idea when it's coming. But like, I don't know, you'll get it when you get it, biatch. You know, I don't like this movie. I never liked this movie. I like the score. Bruce Button's score was all right. I love John Lithgow, but I don't want a funny, family-oriented Bigfoot movie. I like my Bigfoot mean and scary. So
yeah,
this ain't my thing. Either of you seen it? Any fans of Harry and the Hendersons?
Many times.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Ben, I think it's got your name written all over it. No, I'd be surprised if you liked this, Ben.
Yeah, no,
this is like as far from Solo as you can get. Arrow Video. Everybody likes Arrow because, man, they do good work too. And this year's been a pretty killer year for them. But they're putting out a couple of movies in this week's announcements that I don't really give a crap for. And you know what? Steven Seagal didn't give a crap either because he looks constipated all the time. Under Siege is coming. The movie I like called Die Hard on a Boat.
On a boat.
But Arrow's giving it all they got. They're doing a 4K restoration from the camera negative, approved by director Andrew Davis. It's going to have Dolby Vision and HDR10 compatibility, the original stereo track, and a Dolby Atmos track. It's going to have new commentary with the director and the writer, J.F. Lawton. And it's going to have new interviews with Andrew Davis, the director, and actor Erica Eleniak, actor Damian Chapa, and VFX supervisor William Mesa. So if you're a fan of Under Siege, Arrow is polishing that up, and they're serving it on January 6th. So put your gift cards together and nab it then.
This was
Any
the movie.
fans?
This was the movie where I learned that you could make a bomb out of a microwave.
Steven Seagal.
You're gonna get us on a list, Dave.
I have a hard time taking Steven Seagal seriously.
Oh
Yeah.
The other movie they're putting out is Snakes on a Plane, which I think everybody was excited about when the trailers hit theaters, but then everyone seems to agree that it doesn't deliver on the promise.
Yeah, they were excited until they actually saw it.
Have either of you seen it? I haven't.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it exactly once. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and then never again.
Was it okay? No.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I barely remember it, but yeah, it was okay. I remember it just being okay. It's probably like a 5, a 4, a 5.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, if you are a fan of this movie, God bless you. Every movie needs its fans. They're giving it another 4K restoration with Dolby Vision and HDR10, 5.1 surround, a new commentary with a couple of critics, which are often as boring as historians. A new mini documentary. I've never heard that term, mini documentary. So I'm like, is it 30 seconds long? Exploring the movie tie-in novelization phenomenon. Featuring publisher Mark Miller, historian David Spencer, and Krista Faust, author of Snakes on a Plane novelization. Now that's a weird featurette. I've never even seen Snakes on a Plane, so imagine how much I care about the novelization.
Mark Miller. I've talked. Oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
I think they're being generous with the term phenomenon, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe there's a whole big fan thing out there that we're unaware of. But
Ben, you know a little about that, don't you?
Yeah, that Mark Miller. I've actually corresponded with him because he has this publisher called Encyclopocalypse Books, and they literally just their whole thing is they publish novelizations of all kinds of horror films, like usually be horror films that like Severin puts out and stuff. I think they do a lot of the work with Severin. But yeah, it is kind of a new phenomenon coming down the pike, in addition to the boutique releases of like Vinegar Syndrome and the slip covers. Now we have novelizations of the kind of stuff that they put out, which is interesting. But yeah, I think he's also done some stuff with Clive Barker and
sounds familiar. I think he did.
Like that. Yeah, so
I think he did.
That might be interesting.
I used to collect movie novelizations in the 80s because what else were you going to do as a kid in the 80s? And it was one of the ways that I got to keep the movies. I got to bring a piece of the movies home with me because VHS didn't really take off until for like purchase. You could rent VHS throughout all of the 80s, but you really couldn't own VHS until the late 80s. So before that, the only ways that you could really own a part of the movie was like the soundtrack or the novelization. Or toys, if it was that kind of a movie.
Yeah,
so I don't love them as a kid.
Alan Dean Foster, I know he was the big one for all like.
He wrote a lot of them. He wrote a lot of them, and this is also going to have a lot of legacy featurettes as well. And then Paramount's putting out, Bringing Out the Dead, which is a little confusing to me because they also put it out last year with different packaging, and it looks like it's got identical features. So why they're putting it out in a different kind of case and in a different package, I don't know. But if you didn't already nab Bringing Out the Dead with Nicolas Cage, it'll be out January 13. Guys, have you seen this one? It's a Scorsese movie.
I have not, actually.
I have not. And I've seen almost every Scorsese movie, but I've not seen that one.
We had this one at the Von Lee Theater when I was managing it in the late 80s or the late 90s. And I just, when I first saw it, and I saw it again a couple of years ago, and I was still kind of, So that's my thoughts on that one. Then we've got Sony. Now, you know what, guys? Sony is my favorite distributor in terms of sound. When Sony makes a new Atmos track, it's usually incredible. It's got ambience in the surround speakers, and very few movies do that. Their recent, oh my gosh, Karate Kid. I watched Karate Kid, sounded freaking spectacular. Of all the 100 movies or so that I've watched in my home theater, Karate Kid is a Sony movie, sounded amazing.
Really?
Oh yeah, Legends of the Fall was one of theirs. Sounds incredible.
Legends
I
of
don't
the
know
Fall.
what it is. Go ahead.
Legends of the Fall makes sense, but I'm kind of surprised about Karate Kid. It's not a
know.
movie you think about when it comes to sound, really.
Well, every time something goes past you or past the camera, you hear it in the directional cameras, and there's an ambience and the scores in the surround too. So, like, since I have all these freaking speakers, I want to hear stuff coming out of them. But
Yeah.
most of the studios, they only do a little bit when they upgrade from like stereo or 5.1 to Dolby Atmos or 7.1. Sony, man, so far I haven't heard, all their upgrades are phenomenal. If you've got a good surround sound setup at home, even if the movie's mediocre, but Sony's putting it out and you just want to have a good time with your ears, check it out. This is going to have not a Dolby Atmos track, but it's still going to have. Actually, I don't know that it's not going to have a 5 or a Atmos track. I didn't make a note about it, so if it does, it'll be worth it. But their pictures also just incredible. And Thunderheart's an almost all exterior movie in like the American Southwest, so I imagine it's going to look pretty beautiful with the new transfer. It's a new 4K restoration approved by cinematographer Roger Deakins. Everybody knows Roger Deakins if you know any cinematographers at all. So, and it's going to have Dolby Vision and HDR10. Unfortunately, I just watched this on Blu-ray like a few weeks before they announced the 4K, so I've already spoiled it for the next couple of years. But I might pick this up if it gets really cheap on Amazon or something. Probably won't buy it new though. And it's a pretty good movie. We just lost Val Kilmer last year, and we just lost Graham Greene a little bit earlier this year. And Sam Shepard's gone, and James Horner, the composer's gone. So I was just thinking, everyone, Michael Apted, the director's gone too. All of the significant players with this have passed away. That's a morbid note to end on. Let's go to Donnie Darko. Does Donnie Darko need another release?
It's had so many. It's
Right.
had so many. I think I own 4. I think I own 4 myself.
Wow. I've owned at least 2 or 3, and the last one I got was the 4K that Arrow put out, and Arrow did such a great job with it. I don't want anything new. But
I haven't heard of Mutant.
It's
What's
new.
their story? Yeah.
Mutant is a company that was started by the guys that used to run Mondo. But when Funko bought Mondo, and these guys left, I don't know if they left or they were pushed out, but they started their own new company called Mutant, and they've been doing posters and toys, I think.
Okay.
And now they're getting into movies, like they did with Mondo. The Mondo steelbooks were all pretty. This is their first movie release under the Mutant label, and they picked Donnie Darko, which, you know, as a movie all by itself is a cult film, so it's probably a good title to go with. But they're not adding any new features to it. It's got exactly all the same stuff that the Arrow release had. The only thing you're getting different is basically the packaging.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of the cover art. It doesn't really do anything for me, so.
I mean, it's classy looking, but it doesn't say buy me.
It does not.
So I don't know. It's going to have both versions of the movie, the theatrical and director's cut. The new artwork is by Greg Ruth, and the layout's by Craig Oldham. The initial pressing is strictly limited to 2,000 units, which to me sounds like plenty. It's got a 44-page. Yeah.
Is that the Arrow emblem on the disc? Is it like Arrow's release, the repackage then?
Arrow is sub-licensing it.
Oh, okay. So that's why it's got all the same content.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is the mutant treatment of something that Arrow licensed to them.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be a numbered slipcase. It's got new essays in the book. Some of the new features are in the printed materials coming with it. In the book, you're going to have a new interview with Richard Kelly, the director, and a new introduction by Jake Gyllenhaal. So there's that. But it's the exact same transfer that Arrow already put out as well. So I don't think this is going to really do all that well, because I don't think people are going to want to upgrade from Arrow after that. Well, that was only a year or two ago, so it's too soon.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna license it just to re-release it because you're known for your packaging, you got to bring your A game, and I don't know if this is it.
Yeah. I
But
do love Donnie Darko. I made Ben
yeah,
watch it earlier this year, wasn't it?
I enjoyed it. I didn't felt made, so I really liked it. Yeah.
Would you say you liked it more or less than Back to the Future?
Oh, more. Yeah.
Oh, that was the
Interesting.
wrong
Again,
answer, but we'll let you live.
Back to the Future is not a bad film. It's
Hell no, it's not. Good Lord, man! If you thought
just
Back to the Future
putting
was
that
bad,
out
I'd kick
there.
you off the show right now.
I don't think
Wreck-
it's fair to ask a question like that because those two movies are so different. But
Well, they're
have
both
this-
time travel.
I have this weird thing every time, like in my head, I always get Donnie Darko and Jacob's Ladder mixed up. Like I know they're two different films, but it is when you think about it, they both kind of have that surreal quality to them.
that's
Right.
that's the
Oh, yeah.
only thing they share, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I need to do a double feature with them both because for whatever reason, I just keep getting them associated in my head. It's weird.
Well, then we've got The Stuntman coming out from Radiance. Have either of you seen this? I have not.
Yes, in fact, I just watched it like 2 months ago.
Really?
I haven't seen it, but this is much better.
It
artwork
sounds
and packaging.
interesting. Did you like it, Dave?
I did like it. Yeah, it's got Peter O'Toole.
I saw his name was attached to it. I think this also got like some significant Oscar nominations. I think it didn't get one for picture, but I think it got one for director. I can't remember who the director is right offhand. And it got one or two other nominations. So it's not nothing, but for some reason it's passed me by. It's one that I'm going to have to track down and see, possibly with this Radiance release in February.
It is very much a product of the 70s when it was made.
That's
And
fine.
You know, I'm a sucker for old Hollywood. That's one of the reasons why I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and like Licorice Pizza, movies like that. And so this has got, you know, the old Hollywood vibe because it was made in the old 70s Hollywood. So if you're into that, I think it's worth watching on the basis of that alone.
Well, I am, so I definitely need to check it out. It's a new
Radiance
4K
has some
restoration.
cool stuff.
What else have they done?
Well, I know,
I know
they
the
have this-
title. I don't think I've got any of their releases.
I know they got this Cosa Nostra box set that I've been wanting forever, of like a trio of Sicilian mob movies.
Of course,
like-
dude. That's such a Ben thing.
From like the 60s and 70s, I think.
Well, this has a feature-length documentary called "The Sinister Saga of Making the Stuntman," which I don't think is new, but apparently it's well regarded. And it's got a new commentary with critics. And then it's got a bunch of legacy features and a 40-page book. It's going to have 5.1 and mono, the original mono. It's going to come with as you can see in the picture, it's going to have a poster, some lobby card postcards, and it's limited to 5,000 copies, which frankly, if you're limiting it to 5,000, why call it limited? Because anyone who wants this is going to be able to get it.
Yeah, that will cover
number.
That will cover the entire the entire draw for that particular Blu-ray.
Well, it's on my to see list, which is a long list, granted, but maybe I'll move it up. Let's go on to soundtracks, Dave. We only got one this week, but it's kind of a big one. Bright Night was released on this is the score we're talking about, not the songs. It's the score by Brad Fiedel, and they lost the elements to it forever and ever. And Entrada, the label that's putting out the soundtrack, put it out a few years ago with the best surviving elements they could find, and I have that release, and it sounds like crap. Like, it's so bad you can't even listen to it. But magically, they found better elements, and I hear that this one sounds really clean and awesome, and it's expanded by about 17 minutes. So if you're a big fan of the Fright Night or the score by Brad Fiedel, it's shipping now. I ordered mine, and it should be coming sometime next week, because I am personally a fan of this one. Let's go on to books. Got 3 books for you that I was able to track down, including Speak of the Devil and He'll Show Up. Roger Deakins' Reflections on Cinematography is available in just a couple of days on Amazon, as well as this new book on the art and making of Disney's Fantasia, which seems to me like something they probably made into books many times. But if you're a big fan of Fantasia, here's a new one. And Ben, this one's for you.
Oh,
Caligula.
Coming in April, some dirty, smutty historical movie that only Ben Merrow will give a shit about. Sorry.
Yeah,
That
no,
was-
it was just the what was the porn mag that was it Penthouse? I think
It was
the
Penthouse.
original?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was just the Penthouse cut that was super smutty.
Was
Although I think the complete cut that they released a couple years ago or a year or so ago, that one still had a little bit of
Wasn't this-
salacity, but
wasn't this
Ben-
produced by Bob Guccione Jr. or Bob Guccione?
I believe so. That sounds,
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I saw the reason I saw this movie. I've seen it one and only one time, is because I was able to convince a video store clerk to rent it to me when I was like, I don't know, 13, like 12 or 13. It was like the first adult movie I managed to like smuggle out of the video store, and then I think it was not the Bob Guccione version or whatever. It was so disappointing. I remember being so disappointed.
Ben, would I like any version of this movie?
yeah, I think I'm trying to remember what they called it, the complete cut or like definitive cut or whatever. That one was really good. I really enjoyed it. Again, I'm coming at it from somebody who loves sword and sandal films, who is just so fascinated by the history of this film, although I'm a little rusty on it at the moment. But
I should probably watch it again as someone who isn't just trying to see boobs. I can watch it with
that's
whole new
definitely
eyes.
the new cut. So I believe Tinto Brass wrote the original script, and I can't remember how exactly it went down, but they had shot everything they needed for the script and then some. But then like Penthouse came in and just cut a lot of it and filmed a lot of smut to cut together into it, and it became what we had up until recently. But yeah, no, it's like A-list actors that are basically in an X-rated film.
Helen Mirren, right?
Yeah,
Helen
Helen
Mirren,
Mirren. And
Is it Malcolm McDowell?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, but
Yeah,
when I'm ready
such
to
a
watch this, I'm not
curiosity.
going to know what version to see.
Yeah, I got the it was released out of Australia. The one that was the first one that went up for pre-order, so I locked that in, and I don't know if they have a domestic release now, or how expensive that is now with the tariff situation and all that. But it's definitely worth getting a hold of. I'm actually, and this book is really cool too. I feel like I need this to brush up on my knowledge of this particular curiosity. So
It's available for pre-order at Orbit DVD. I'm sure you can also get it on Amazon, but it's not supposed to come out till April. And when it comes to Caligula, Ben Merrow is...
Where are they? I think they're talking about us. No way.
And then we got some collectibles. Now, this one's sold out already. This is another one of those damn popcorn... what do you call it? What's the word? Popcorn...
Bucket?
Bucket! Yes, bucket! Well, shaped like a skull. This one was only available at Netflix's website because Netflix is the studio that put out Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. But if you like scary-looking skull things, you could have ordered it there, and maybe you can still track it down on eBay. There's also this die-cast spinner car available. I did not put down where this was available, so you'll have to forgive me. I remember it was like $150, $200. Oh, Master Replicas.
yeah,
There
it
it
was
is.
just the same.
So if you're into that, I have limited shelf space, and also if it gets to $150, $200, it better like do a lot more than just sit on my shelf. It needs to like service me in some special ways. Funko's having a bad year, guys. Funko Pops, you guys know. Everyone knows about Funko
Yeah.
Pops.
It was bound to happen. They were bound to
yeah.
have a bad year.
Going the
Well,
way
they've
of
been
Beanie
having-
Babies.
Yeah, I think they are actually. They are falling out of favor. Comic book stores and toy stores are sending all the Funkos back. They're having a hard time selling them. Also, the prices are going up because the tariffs and stuff like that. Like, I think these are $15 to $20 now.
Hold on. I want to show you my one and only Funko Pop. You'll like this. Hold on.
I wish I only had one. I think I've got like 10. I try to be selective about it. I like Funkos. Do you
Yeah,
own any, Ben?
I have a handful. I got when the Blade Runner 2049 came out, they were doing a thing where if you bought your ticket through Fandango, then they'd send you a Funko Pop, a random character for the movie, and I got Ryan Gosling, Agent K,
That's
or Officer K, yeah. And I
John
also have
Waters.
a. Oh, yeah, that's a
Ah,
good one to have. Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
that's a good one.
I didn't
The
even know that
only
existed.
pop that I own is John Waters.
Nice. Yeah, I also have like Doom Guy and a couple other video game characters, but just I think they were just gifted to me. I never really sought out any Funko Pops before.
Well, they put out Willow within the last year, so I had to get the 4 of those. General Kale. I never thought I'd see General Kale from Willow as a Funko Pop. And I spent some money on a couple of Funko Pops because I just had to have them. I spent some money to get Aughra from the Dark Crystal and Black Phillip from The Witch.
Yeah, that's legit.
And I've got the Black Cauldron, the 2 set of the Horned King and Taran, and I've got some others. But I think they're cute. They make too many of them, and I guess that's the problem is they overproduce, and now there's not enough demand for it. But K-pop Demon Hunters took the world by storm earlier this year, and apparently this is one of the only bits of merchandise available for it this holiday season. So, if anything can save Funko this season or this year, maybe, I think it's these K-pop Demon Hunters Funko Pops. Which I have not seen this movie. I've heard it's actually not bad and that maybe I would even enjoy it. I've heard a lot of adult guys that don't care crap about anime say that it's actually decent. But I still think it'll be years before I check it out. Although this cat thing looks cute, if I do say so. Then there's Lego. Later this month.
Yeah, you can always count on Lego.
For you know how much this is?
Oh yeah, you can always count on Lego for for the prices, especially with their adult Legos now they have. Oh my god.
I didn't write down the price, but it's at least 200 and at most 400. It's somewhere in the 200 to 400 range. And I think it's got 3,500 pieces, which when I'm looking at this picture, I'm like, where? I don't see 3,500 pieces. Like, they must be really little or something. But I do like the little Lego people. Look at that shiz. They got Guinan up there, and they got Wesley with a gun, and they got Beverly Crusher, the hottest space doctor in the universe. Like,
I've
those
noticed
are cute.
The sets with like exclusive minifigures usually command a premium. I think that's like between that and the licensing, I think that's half of their value proposition with their prices.
I don't have room again for Lego, but I do think it's cute the way Lego has kind of branched out to do a lot of Star Wars stuff. And like Funko, they kind of tap into other intellectual properties. That's bank. Lego, I think, always does well. I could be wrong, but I feel like Lego is a perennial. Has been for decades, and I think it's still going strong. Well, that's the end of the collectibles. It is now time for coming attractions. Look at what we got coming up Friday. Now, I've personally seen trailers on a couple of things for several months now for this Running Man movie, and I have no desire to see it. How do you guys feel?
Actually, haven't heard anything about this.
You
mentioned it before the podcast started. You're like, yeah, you think one of you guys might go see this one? I was like, I didn't even know that was coming out. But
I've only been to the movies like 3 or 4 times this year, but this trailer's played every time.
really?
Yeah. It's a remake of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from the 80s.
I figured,
and it stars Glenn Powell. I mean, it didn't look bad, but it just doesn't look interesting enough to make me want to get out of the house and go to the theater and see it. I have seen one of these Now You See Me movies, and I didn't like it enough to want to see any more of them. So I think this is the 3rd or 4th in that series. Looks like Woody Harrelson's in it, maybe. I don't know. I don't care. The most interesting of these 3 movies is The Keeper, because it's kind of it looks like it might be a horror movie. I don't know a lot
Oh, yeah.
about it, but Osgood Perkins is related to Anthony Perkins
Yeah.
from Psycho.
Mhm.
And that one has a little mystery to it. I don't research movies. I'm not really in the habit of watching trailers and getting excited about new releases because over the last 15 years, Hollywood has trained me to expect absolute crap.
Yeah, I have seen the last two movies from Osgood Perkins, and I'm slowly being converted. The Long Legs I really enjoyed up until the end. I felt like the ending was a huge letdown for everything that film built up. The Monkey was cool, and I still laugh every time I think about how it's based on a Stephen King story, and it's just this
That's a
toy
good start.
monkey. Yeah, it's this toy monkey. Once it starts, in this case, playing the drums, usually the clap cymbals, those kind of toys, but this one has drums, and it plays the drums, and then something horrific happens to whoever is present when it does. And I enjoyed that one. And I believe I did see a trailer for The Keeper, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, another Osgood Perkins. Like the guy's on fire. I think he's had like a new film.
Well, I didn't know he had those previous films. I haven't been following him.
Yeah.
I haven't
But,
seen those previous films either.
I recommend it. Yeah, like I said, Long Legs, even though the ending was a little bit of a letdown, just the rest of that film was so cool. And it had Nicolas Cage in it. And he's just absolutely off the rails, which is on brand
As
for him
always.
these days. Yeah.
Speaking of Nicolas Cage, two other movies opening next Friday. One of them's called The Carpenter's Son. And I could be wrong, but I think Nicolas Cage is playing Joseph to like Mary, Virgin Mary. And Jesus is in the movie, but I think it's a horror movie. Have you heard about this?
I haven't heard about this. No.
Well, again, I'm probably talking out my ass because I don't really investigate these things too much. But what little I did see, it sounds like it's a Jesus movie and maybe a horror movie, and Nicolas Cage is in it. So at this point, Nicolas Cage is just literally looking for the freakiest stuff he can possibly attach his name to, because The Carpenter's Son is coming next Friday. And this Jay Kelly movie is from Noah Baumbach, the director, whose films tend to be very subdued. And I think I liked one of them.
It's a subdued
The Squid
film
and the Whale.
with Adam Sandler, top build. What's in
Yeah, Adam Sandler could be good in a subdued movie, but I'll be honest, George Clooney is the kiss of death for me. If I see George Clooney's attached to a movie, that means it's going to suck.
Really?
Because if you look at his IMDb page, most movies he's attached to go by and don't leave an impact on the world at all. Like, he makes boring movies, man. He makes boring movies, I think. So Jay Kelly's not on my radar. It's also going to be on Netflix. Looks like December 5th. So you can wait to see it then if you don't want to spend some money to see it in a theater. Dave, did you go to the bathroom? Did you have to poop, buddy?
I had some technical difficulties.
Oh, is that what we're calling it now?
That's
That's not no.
Well, we just went over the new releases coming out Friday. I'm not seeing any of them. It sounds like maybe you guys aren't interested either. Am I right?
We're gonna have to look into this Carpenter's Son because that just sounds wild.
The Carpenter's Son.
movie.
If I were going to see one, that one's the one that sounds the most interesting. Let's see. What was I going to do here now? What are you guys doing? Oh my God, they're humping.
Oh,
Guys, I'm trying to do a show.
Horny little Ewok.
All right, go away. I'm trying to do a show. I thought we had an arrangement. I'm never coming here again. I really thought the Ewok Village would be a nice, peaceful place to do a show with nice scenic backdrops, but these guys, they're a lot more wild than you know. Okay. Well, that was fun. It's time to review some new movies, guys. You ready to talk about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein?
oh yeah.
Let me play my little video. So I was able to check out Frankenstein on Netflix Friday night. Hang on, I thought I had my asset up there. Try it again. Nope, wrong movie, Scott. I'll get it right. I think the Ewoks threw me off. It says it's right. Okay, that looks like Frankenstein. I watched it Friday night on Netflix. Ben, did you watch it on Netflix?
Yeah, I watched it last night.
And
I
Dave,
also
did
watched
you?
it last night. Yes.
I really wanted to see this in a theater. I tried to like go to the high seas and, get it there so I could put it on a thumb drive and watch it in my theater. But I couldn't get it to work. So I had to watch it on a normal TV, and I tried not to let it interfere with my enjoyment of the movie because I'm one of those guys. I don't stream movies. If I watch a movie on TV, it's not a movie. It's a TV show. But that's just me, and I'm weird. So Frankenstein, everyone knows the basic story of Frankenstein. In the book that Mary Shelley wrote, the science fiction classic, there's this doctor named Victor Frankenstein who's interested in reanimating dead tissue, bringing it back to life. And so he does. He successfully stitches some corpse pieces together and electrocutes it and brings it back to life. But the monster that he creates escapes him and develops feelings, and it's intelligent. It learns to speak by observing this family that lives in a like a shack somewhere, and it's very sad and very lonely. And it comes back to Victor Frankenstein to have him create a mate for it, but Victor and the monster, they do not see eye to eye, and they end up chasing each other through the Arctic. The book opens on the Arctic and it ends on the Arctic when they have their final clash together. This is not a faithful adaptation, and I kind of was expecting that it would be, because there's never. I think the Kenneth Branagh film that came out in the 90s that starred Robert De Niro might be the most faithful. And I don't remember that film very well, except to think it wasn't as faithful to the book as I wanted it to be. So I've always thought, and I love the Boris Karloff Frankenstein, don't get me wrong. I've kind of liked all the Frankensteins I've ever seen, even the Hammer Films version. But I always thought there was room for improvement, and that we could still have like the perfect quote unquote Frankenstein movie. And I just assumed Guillermo del Toro would be a purist and want to strictly adhere to Shelley. And I didn't know that was not his plan at all. After this was over, I watched the making of that Netflix also has available on their platform. And he just flat out says he wasn't interested in doing Shelley by the book. He wanted to capture the spirit of Shelley, but do his own version of it. And I think when I was watching it, since I didn't know that, I was kind of fighting the movie a little whenever it strayed. And by the end, I was like, well, this is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. It's not Mary Shelley's, that's for sure. But we'll have spoilers at the end of this review. We're going to try and keep it spoiler free until we say we're going to do some spoilers. I think if I were to watch it again on its own merits, I would like it more. I liked it already. It is a good film, but I think I would like it even more if I went into it with the right frame of mind, coming into it and not expecting a faithful adaptation, but instead a movie heavily inspired by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein that captures the spirit and the themes that she dealt with, while a lot of the characters are different or wholly fabricated. One character, Christoph Waltz's character, isn't in the book at all. He plays like a rich guy who gives Victor Frankenstein, played by Oscar Isaac, right there, all the money he needs to make this happen. And at a certain point, you find out why Christoph Waltz's character is so keen to invest in this kind of macabre exploration. And also Mia Goth's character of Elizabeth. Elizabeth's in the book, but she's much weirder in the movie here. But I kind of liked her that way. And I liked Christoph Waltz too. So it was all very different, but I liked what Frankenstein did. And I'm going to say something blasphemous right now. I think in time, I might even prefer Guillermo del Toro's version of this story to Mary Shelley's original story.
I think that everything that was added was for the better, and it is so lush and so gothic.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed
it's opulent.
but I kind of disagree. I don't know if this is going to be my favorite Frankenstein adaptation. I don't know if I've found my favorite film adaptation of Frankenstein yet, but I feel like some of the decisions that he made deviating from the source material, I don't know if they were that impactful to, really make it like, oh, this is a unique vision from Guillermo del Toro. In fact, it's interesting because I felt like this is one of his films where a lot of his usual fantastical like flair and some of his fantasy elements were more or less subdued. It did feel like a pretty grounded film throughout.
Yeah.
There was one moment where the arms dealer character has like golden shoes or something. It reminded me of Pacific Rim a little bit, where Ron Perlman's character has those flashy shoes, and I'm like, oh man, this
I
is
don't
really
remember
okay. Yeah, like when he goes into the hall during this demonstration, which that demonstration I won't go into spoilers, but I was really surprised to see that scene in the context of the original story, but yeah, I feel like he made changes, but it didn't really deviate so much, I guess, from the original theme of Mary Shelley, which I know you said was like kind of what he was going for, but it just didn't seem like the changes were that worthwhile, and then sometimes it felt a little confusing, and it kind of detracted away from the relatability of some of the characters, in my opinion, which I won't go into now, but yeah, and so the monster was great though, although there was one inconsistency with the monster that I'll point out in the spoilers. I really think his side of the story was really powerful and well done, and that's definitely Del Toro shining through. But I don't know, like, yeah, just some of those inconsistencies are gonna hold it back for me. But it was a beautiful film. The production design was amazing. The wardrobe design was amazing. This is definitely, I think, the goriest Frankenstein film that you will ever see to date.
I think
I
so.
could be wrong, but yeah,
I think
it was. Yeah,
Not that it's
I
a
mean,
gore fest by any stretch, but
yeah,
there are some
no, but
moments.
it does. The kind of the trend in recent films is that they are really gory now. Like you have Terrifier 3 coming and going in theaters, and nobody bats an eye. Versus you remember how the reaction that like Hostel got, for example. Now it's just kind of standard, and it's kind of interesting to think about that. But
Did you see
oh, yeah.
that most of the effects are practical, including the ship? The ship was
Yeah,
actually built.
yeah, and also they shot a lot of the scenes in the Frankenstein family mansion in the mansion from Barry Lyndon.
Yeah,
And like that setting was really, really striking for sure. So
One of the most boring movies ever made, but that's another story.
so yeah.
I liked a lot the guy playing the monster, Jacob Elordi. I've seen his name bandied about on the internet. I don't remember what I've seen of his, if anything, but at first I wasn't sure if he was going to leave much of an impression as the monster because he wasn't flashy. He's not grandstanding, and he's not putting on a show the way Boris Karloff maybe did, although I think Boris was appropriate for that version of the film that James Whale did. But I really came to really like Jacob Elordi's performance, and I could see him getting an Oscar nomination for supporting actor maybe for this movie. And I thought Oscar Isaac was really good too, although I don't like his character as much. We're not supposed to like his character as much. And if I had a gripe, I have two gripes. One is about Oscar Isaac's character, the main character, arguably, Victor Frankenstein.
Mm.
Guillermo makes the first half of the movie, which is about 2.5 hours long, maybe a half hour too long. First half of it is from Victor's perspective, and the last half, roughly, is from the creature's perspective. In the book, the creature does get his part of the story, but it's not half of the story. It's not nearly half. So Guillermo, surprise, surprise, really does give the creature a lot more time, and we relate with him a lot more.
Yeah.
And that part of the movie's great.
Yeah.
Once the creature is born, the movie takes off. But he spends like 45 minutes just with Victor and trying to set up Victor Frankenstein as his own character. And I don't know if it was necessary. I think you could have gotten the same effect at the end of the movie if you'd spent less time with Victor and not tried to give him equal screen time. And maybe it's because he cast Oscar Isaac and you can't cast someone like that and not give them lots of screen time or something. But I would have shortened the first 30 to 40 minutes of the movie and not given us so much about Victor. And also, the look of the movie, this is going to sound nuts, and I'm not even sure I understand it. It looked really CGI-y to me. I saw that it's a lot of practical stuff, but a lot of the practical stuff looks digital to me. And maybe it's because I was watching it on a TV, and I don't like to do that with movies. And there was a lot of deep focus all the time. Deep focus to me kind of lends itself to looking digital to me for some reason. I like more shallow focus more of the time. A lot of these shots we're seeing right now, they have pretty deep focus. You can see everything in sharp detail, like all the way into the infinite background. I didn't think it was as pretty as Guillermo usually does.
I don't know if this is your situation or not, but I have noticed when I've watched the same movie on other people's TVs that depending on the settings, if someone has their sharpness turned up, it will make movies look more CGI-ish. So maybe it's that. I don't know. I didn't notice that at all. I thought I had just the opposite reaction. It didn't seem CGI-ish to me at all.
I wish it didn't to me. But like I said, this is one of those movies that's kind of hard to explain, because as soon as it was over, I was like, what did I just see? I guess I just wasn't prepared for it, and something tells me I'm going to like it more the more I see it. And I probably will buy this. Criterion, please put this out on your label, because you've been putting out a lot of Guillermo del Toro stuff. I will definitely buy it, because I think I'm going to like this movie more and more every time I see it.
So if I could put my finger, I guess, on my biggest gripe, it would be that. So I know Del Toro because I watched. He did an interview with Jimmy Kimmel talking about the film, and he was saying that a big theme is generational trauma, right? So the first act, we see what happens with Victor and his father, and then how he eventually projects that onto the creature he creates. But my problem is that I don't necessarily buy that the character has made that journey and has arrived at that point. Same thing with the love story between him and Elizabeth. I don't buy. There just wasn't enough there for me to buy that he was in love with her, they're in love, or whatever.
Who's in love with Elizabeth? Victor or the monster?
Victor, yeah. And
yeah,
well,
in the book, that's the love relationship is between Victor and Elizabeth in the book. And in this movie, Guillermo downplays it by having Elizabeth engaged to Victor's brother, who is barely in the book at all and has a much bigger part in this movie.
Right.
So the love relationship I thought was fine. But
yeah, like those things are like the themes he was going for are fine, but I just didn't really feel like the story developed those ideas enough for me to buy that the characters now feel the way they do at different points in the film. It just kind of happened in some cases.
Well, we're getting close to talking about the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to say anything else about Frankenstein before we do the spoiler alert?
Nope.
All right. Well, then here it comes. All right. Now we can do spoilers. At the end of the book, if I remember correctly, Victor dies on the boat, and the monster breaks into the boat and takes his body and smashes through a window, jumps out onto the ice, and like the book ends with the people on the boat watching the monster like run with Victor into the distance, and you never see them again. And I think the implication was just that there was no resolution between those two characters. It ends like a horror movie.
Yeah.
And Guillermo has them reconcile, which is a very surprising way to end this movie. They forgive each other. The monster forgives Victor for treating him like an ass, because my God, Victor's just awful to this poor creature. And Victor tells the creature to not feel too sorry for himself, that despite the fact that he can never die, he needs to stand in the sunlight and find a reason to live. And the last shot of the movie is the creature doing just that, standing in the sunlight and like trying to not give in to doom, but to find a little hope in that light, and that he'll be able to find a reason to live, even though he's alone. There's no one else on earth like him. He's this bastard creation that Victor made, and he wanted Victor to make a spouse for him so he wouldn't be alone, but Victor didn't do it, and then he dies. But I wasn't expecting that at all, and it had me. Like, I had an emotional reaction to the end of this movie
You
that
know,
really buttoned it up
yeah,
for me.
absolutely. I mean, it was a powerful moment, but then I have to stop and think like, okay, so the last time they saw each other, though, he was he was, you know, grievously injuring Victor, that he's dying and he's blowing himself up with dynamite, and it just wasn't. It was a complete whiplash. Like, it feels natural after you watch like the rest of the film, but then when you think chronologically the story, they were just killing each other, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, well, I forgive you now that I've killed you, basically.
Well, I think you're
Maybe
supposed to.
point, but I don't know. It's
I think it's just listening to, because Victor narrates the first half of the story to like the guy that runs the boat, and then the creature comes on the boat halfway through the movie and tells the
right.
boat
Yeah.
captain his side of the story. And I think it's during the whole time that the creature's telling that story that Victor's having this transformation. But I can see where people might not get that, because we're not watching Victor during that time. We're listening to the creature tell his story. So it does kind of come out of left field, but boy, it felt right. It felt right, and it was a
It did
much more
feel right.
powerful ending.
Yeah. The moment was great. I just don't know if the arrival at that moment made sense, but
Maybe.
I don't know. And that's kind of like I was mentioning with the love story with, or such as it was, between Victor and Elizabeth. That I think they have all of 3 interactions, 2 of which are like they're just kind of passively insulting each other, and then they catch a butterfly, and all of a sudden, I don't know, like she comes to his shop, and they're kind of still in that coy phase of their courtship, but then we're supposed to believe he was just so in love with her, that he's just so grievously wounded that she pays more attention to the creature than him, and that he wants to murder it with fire. That's where I'm like, okay, I guess. And the fact that when the creature is born, so to speak, and he embraces it like a child, and he's listening to its heartbeat, like that's an amazing moment. Like, I believe in the original story, the I guess feud between them, if you want to call it that, is that the moment is born, he's like, oh my god, what have I done? This is this monstrosity. He shuns it. But in this, he starts to take care of it. And I was wondering, I'm like, wow, okay, how do we arrive at, the preludes events, and it just kind of happened. Like, you get the impression, okay, it's been maybe a few weeks, maybe a month. He's shaving. The monster has grown some hair. Okay, so some time's passed. But the fact that the monster has only spoken one word, combined with the fact that Elizabeth pays more attention, then he's gonna set it on fire. And that's horrible. And he does have that moment where he's like, "Oh God, what have I done?" And he tries to go rescue him. But I don't know. I had a hard time buying that, because I was like with Victor pretty much up to that point. Afterward, it just got really hard to relate. And of course, like, you can relate with the monster, but however, because I love the segment with the old man, the blind old man. That was great. That's like one of my favorite parts of the original story too. And so he has this moment after the wolves kill the old man and he dies. Old man's family returns, right? And they're aggressive, but he rips the guy's jaw.
Yeah.
I was a family member of the old man who he was very close to, and it's like,
Well, the old man's dead at that point, and these people are trying to kill him. So
he just turned around and ripped. I don't know. I guess it was his son. I don't know. Like, some member of his family rips his jaw clean off, and he has the power to just literally shove people aside, or if he wanted to, he just had to.
they were being hostile.
Murder them. Yeah,
they weren't innocent, for goodness sake.
I mean, but oh man, but it just made it hard for me sometimes to, because I definitely sympathized with the monster more, which I know is kind of the intention. But when he's just brutally murdering people, and it's just kind of like forgotten about, like he just leaves the ship at the end.
Well, he also has the impulse control of a child,
He just murdered members of this crew that have been bonding in this expedition to the North Pole, and there's just like, it's fine now. Like, he just. I don't know. It was.
Now, I guess I have suspension of disbelief, because
there were some. Well, there were some inconsistencies as far as the character motivation and understanding, like, why they were doing what they were doing. I feel like the film, if it was longer, and I know that's always a challenge, especially if you're working with a streaming service or any kind of network, that they're gonna have to do these things within this limited period. But I just had a hard time, like. believing some of the character motivations. Like I understand the direction of the story, it made sense, but I just wasn't there with everything that was happening as far as like what the characters or what we were going through with them as the audience. I just didn't witness enough for me to buy some of their motivations. But
I would definitely agree that there has not been a more unlikely love story since like Anakin and Padme.
yeah.
It was
I
definitely
would say I would argue they had more chemistry than
I would
what was-
argue the same. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's and I feel like there was a huge punch that was pulled because the monster, I think, inadvertently kills a child in the original story. Isn't that right?
I don't remember if it kills a child in the book.
I
It does
think-
the Boris
I thought it
Karloff
did.
movie.
Yeah, I could have sworn in the original story that was the case, but
You might
I always
be
thought
right.
that was I always thought that was a really powerful thing too. Like he doesn't. I did
It-
like his. Oh, go ahead.
You would not. It's a fine. Once it kills a child, you won't sympathize with the monster anymore, though. Guillermo
Well, yeah, I
couldn't
mean-
do that with this version.
Well, the murdering half the guy's family after he died too.
Man, those guys were assholes.
They were, but I
I'm
mean,
sorry. I'm with
but
the
he
creature
had-
on that
you have
one.
to
They
remember,
were
too-
firing upon him. They were
you have to
trying
remember,
to kill him.
You have to remember though that he had that realization about the nature of of life and the predators and prey, that the wolves don't hate
Mhm.
the sheep and things like that. The guy, he walks in, they see their family member brutally like bleeding out because he's ripped apart by wolves, of course, and they see this horrific creature standing in front of them. Well, that's how they're going to react. It's just a natural reaction, I feel.
And
like.
the creature's going to rip his jaw off. So.
After, I mean, maybe you could say, I'm a monster. This is what I do. This
Well,
is
if
my
we
nature.
were in the jury for the creature upon this, for his crimes in the scene, it'd be a hung jury because I think the creature was justified in his violence, and you clearly do not.
Yeah.
But I liked this Frankenstein. It's one that I think is going to grow on me over time. I thought it was I was expecting a big, opulent, fancy, almost fantasy kind of Frankenstein, because that's what Guillermo del Toro does. But it really sounds like, especially since he's recently said he wants to get away from doing fantasy and gothic horror altogether. He wants to do something complete. He wants to do a 180 with whatever his next movie is. This seems like a movie that was kind of a gateway to that, because while it has some fantasy and horror in it, it's not as embellished as Guillermo del Toro usually does. This movie is, I think one of you said it earlier, grounded more than a lot of his other stuff. He was really determined to work with actors, I think, on this one, more than he ever has, maybe. It was very character driven, and the visuals were they took more of a back seat to the characters. So I wasn't prepared for that, and so I think I need to see it again to really fully digest it and figure it out. But the fact that I want to see it again does mean something.
And that's why I was really unbothered by the exploration of Victor's character in the beginning, especially since it was like intercut with other things, and because I know that was a problem for you, but I actually really enjoyed that.
I did
early
too.
stuff.
I did too. And
I like seeing Charles dance as his dad, because Charles dance is cool.
Yeah. So I like that it gave some insight into his character. That was expounding on why the character feels the way he does, and I really appreciate that. But afterward, it's very abbreviated, like very abridged. These interactions with the characters between each other, that you arrive at why they feel the way they do. But
Yeah. You hateful biatch. All right, let's review this.
One of the other stills I just want to mention real quick, that one of the other things that surprised me about this film is, from my understanding, Victor Frankenstein always had to obfuscate his work, right? Like he put the theories out there and he got like laughed out of universities and things like that. But in this film, you can see right here, he's got a battery and he animates half a corpse and it comes to life and it's catching a ball and all this stuff. And they're just, and then Elizabeth is examining a corpse that he has vivisection on his lab table. And that's just out in the open, and people are like, "Oh no, it's never gonna work." It's just.
I thought that was interesting too, because he had his detractors, but then you've got this greater audience they're all about it. They're clapping and cheering, and
which I did
think
like.
that might be rooted in history. I think that might be rooted in
So
history
Yeah.
because Guillermo said something about he moved the time. Like the Shelley book takes place 50 years earlier than when the film takes place, and I think it was because in the late 1800s when the film takes place, I hope I'm right about that, there was much more public interest and conversation in reanimating the dead. So
Well,
you would have had people who
yeah,
wanted it and people who were terrified
galvanization.
about it.
Yeah.
not only that, there was a point in time around then where things like surgical procedures were a public event where people would come and watch in a theater.
Not me. Not me. I will say, as a big score fan, I didn't love this score. I thought it was fine. I think if it had a grander, more memorable, a big score, I would have loved the movie instantly. But instead, it's got an Alexander Desplat score, and a Desplat. He's always serviceable. After John Williams did the first couple of Harry Potters, Alexander Desplat ended up doing a lot of them, and they're just fine. He's not my favorite composer. I think if you could get someone else other than him, you'll have a better chance at having a better score. A movie like this with the right score could have really been a home run. And it wasn't quite that, at least not on first viewing, not for me. Now that I've made sure that both Vinegar Syndrome and Alexander Desplat will never support this show, Ben, what is your rating of Frankenstein from 1 to 10? 10 being a masterpiece and 1 being a crime against cinematic humanity.
I would say a 7.
There is Ben's score, a 7. That means it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, what do you think?
Oh, here we go with the 7s again. I'm also going to give it a 7.
David also goes with a 7. I am also going to go with a 7.
Ooh.
But I was real tempted to give it an 8. And I think if I see it again with the right frame of mind, it could be an 8. An 8 is a recommend for me, but a 7 is just a really good movie with a lot going for it. Very interesting. But maybe there's some things about it that just didn't quite work out or weren't the way I wanted. So that was a good review overall that we're giving Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I don't know what accent that was, but hey, let's do the next one. I'm just going to bring up the asset for it now. Dave, switch over that headline. Predator Badlands. Oop, there's that fancy sound effect that you were doing there. I think it's Dave, but it's gone now. All right, Predator Badlands. I did not want to see this movie 2 weeks ago. I could have cared less. I still haven't seen Prey. I didn't like the Alien versus Predator movie that I saw, and then I went to see one other Predator movie in the theater, and it was god awful, just god awful. One of the biggest pieces of crap I ever saw. So, and the fact that this is Disney now, Disney owns Fox, I had very low expectations for this. But Ben was keen to see it because he's a big old nerd. Ben, would you like to try and synopsize this film for our audience?
Yeah. So essentially, the film is about a young predator who is a runt in his clan. Like he's literally smaller in stature, and in true Spartan style, they believe that they need to call weakness from their clan. And he vows that I'm actually going to kill the most powerful or the most fearsome creature in our corner of the galaxy that even my father is afraid of. And so he goes to this planet, Gunna. And well, there are some more details that go along with that, but I'll withhold it for the spoilers. But he has kind of a crash landing on Genna, and he realizes very quickly that he's overwhelmed. However, he even though he's a runt and all that, he is no slouch. In fact, I believe that this predator could probably do pretty well taking on any of the other protagonists of the other Predator films just fine, maybe with the exception of Arnold. I don't know. But yeah, he arrives on the planet and is pretty overwhelmed by the native fauna there, and he encounters an android from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation that was there. And this is interesting. And I was
Played
trying
by
to figure
Ella
out.
Fanning.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think this might make it one of the latest entries in the Alien Predator canon, nerd canon, but because the Weyland-Yutani Corporation has kind of had this epiphany that they can have their deep space expeditions manned by androids exclusively. And it's funny because this is the one Predator film where not a single human dies. Because there isn't a single human in the film, a single human character.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
really interesting that way. And and so I think that's as much as I can say without getting into the spoilers. That is the synopsis of the film.
Well, let's add to the fact that at the beginning of the movie, this predator, his name is Deck, if I remember right,
yeah,
played by Demetrius Schuster Kolamatangi. Don't say that too many times quickly. He's fighting his older brother to like kind of toughen each other up, and then their dad arrives. And I wasn't expecting our two new releases to have a thematic similarity, but if they do, it's terrible fathers, horrible, no good, awful fathers.
yeah.
The father wants the oldest son to kill the younger son, but the older son says he doesn't want to, and instead he saves the younger son, and then the dad kills the older son, and yeah, right at the beginning of the movie, they've got this family rift, and so that's kind of the headspace that the predator Deck is in, is that his dad just did this to them and killed his brother. So he's kind of grieving throughout the movie,
Yeah.
but in a predator way.
Yeah.
Ella Fanning's character does a lot to this movie because if she weren't there, we would never get inside this predator's mind because that's just not the way the predators are. So it is the kind of movie that humanizes a predator character. I thought it was very similar to The Mandalorian.
Yes. Yeah. That was what I was going to say. They're definitely bringing that DNA to it. And this is also, I would say, the Predator series is Terminator 2, where, like in Terminator 2, the Terminator is humanized and he gains a family and things like that. That's pretty much what happens in this one too.
And I'm a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for the surrogate family thing. I have mixed feelings about it.
I do, yeah, with this one because it's like
because I don't know if this was the movie to do it with.
Yeah,
knowing its fan base. If you're a fan, essentially, my review of this movie comes down to if you're a fan of the Predator movies as they have classically been, where the Predator is a bad guy, a monster to be feared, you're going to hate this movie probably. Because this movie humanizes the Predator character. You sympathize with the Predator character. The Predator makes friends. I've seen some. I watch people on the left and the right because I like to kind of keep my finger on the pulse of everything. And I've seen a lot of backlash from people on the right about this movie because they're saying it's a feminist Predator. Well, it kind of is. I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, how many more Predator movies just like all the others do you want? Like if you're going to keep telling stories about the Predator, I feel like at some point you have to develop the character.
I do agree.
And they did a good job doing that with this, I think.
I mean, I agree. They definitely had to shift the paradigm a bit, but I just feel like there was too much comedic relief. I
liked the comedy.
I was gonna say I'll probably like it then. I have not seen it, but I will probably like it then.
See, I just with Predator, I think of just brutal, atavistic, like high tech, space hunter and stuff like that. And I feel like he definitely maintains a decent level of that, but then there's just too many moments where it's like this doesn't feel like a Predator to be like a Yautja, like they're just absolutely dogmatic. Like that's part of what they are in their culture, but
yeah.
And this is another thing where it's just kind of like another case where I don't think enough has happened. I haven't been shown enough as a member of the audience to believe that the character is feeling this way and doing this now. But
I bought all the characters' transformation steps towards his character arc. I didn't have any problems with that. That seems to be a Ben hang-up with movies as of late.
Sometimes, yeah.
But I feel I'm surprised this movie did so well at the box office because I thought as soon as the word got out, the target audience of young men, well, hell, not even that young, people mine and Dave's age that grew up with Predator, the real diehard fans are not going to like this movie. Disney has this way of putting, they call it a girl boss and everything. Like they can't have a male protagonist these days without a woman telling him what to do. Famously, they did it with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny because they put Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And there's this diehard male part of the audience, this rigidly inflexible male part of the audience. They can't stand that. And I think as soon as they saw trailers for this, they could tell that Ella Fanning was going to be a girl boss. So I was kind of hoping she wouldn't be for their sake, but she is. She's literally strapped to his back, telling him what to do, what to feel, and she gets to him. She's able to change him. I wish this movie came out 20 or 30 years ago, so it existed outside of all of that political, sociological, toxic awfulness that's going on right now, where every movie has to be examined under this ugly paradigm where everything's black or white, feminist or whatever. I wish it existed outside of all that stuff because I thought it was a surprisingly good movie.
Yeah,
even though it does adhere to all that recent dogma. So I think I've seen a lot of people in my feed really like this movie. I've only seen one or two people go off on it. Overwhelmingly, everyone's surprised. It's fun.
The action scenes.
Fun.
There's a lot of action, and all the action scenes are amazing. Like for wherever we're going with modern cinema, I think we've reached the apex of combat choreography. Because the opening duel with him and his brother and stuff, I love that. And like I said, he's no slouch, and he takes on some big bad creatures on this planet, and he makes it look easy. Let's put it that way. It's awesome.
And the movie's cute. Ella Fanning has a sense of humor. Her character, I mean, she's ripped in half, so she's kind of got to have a sense of humor, even though she's an android and probably shouldn't have one.
It's just
she's got one.
It was too much.
And they pair up with this little creature. They pair up with an adorable, kind of ugly-looking CGI creature. The CGI is not the best. And
that was like the Grogu box they were checking with that one. It doesn't. I don't know.
But I love the fact that there's this deck predator character that doesn't speak a word of English in the whole movie. All of his dialogue is subtitled. And then there's this android who's cut in half. She's just an upper torso. And this weird little monkey dog creature. That's our heroes for a big chunk of the movie. It's the three of them, this weird motley family trying to survive on this hostile planet. I loved that. That won me over. I kind of dug it. But I could see where other people who are big fans of classic Predator, they're gonna despise this movie.
I wouldn't say despise it, but it did kind of, I don't know. I have to maybe watch it again with a different mindset, like you were saying, Frankenstein, and I don't know. I was
expecting to hate it. I was expecting to hate it, and I didn't. The score was good.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, they had like a couple
deep and guttural at times.
Yeah, they had a couple of tracks where it was like Predator sort of sounds, like guttural and like almost like a Mongolian throat singing kind of thing. It was really cool.
A lot of it was shot in New Zealand, which we all know is the most beautiful place on earth. So it takes advantage of a lot of that. And it, did you notice at the beginning or near the beginning, the title card? I haven't seen this in a movie since the 70s or 80s, maybe.
Yeah, where
the title card has copyright, the year of release, 20th Century Fox Film Corporation. Why?
Yeah, it was interesting, and I have seen films getting creative with the opening title card, like Evil Dead Rise had an amazing
doing that
title
specifically
reveal.
Is a grindhouse thing.
Yeah.
When we made Headless, we put that at the beginning. And when the title for Headless comes up, it says Headless, 1979 American Filmways Corporation or something.
Yeah.
Because that's what movies used to do, but in the 70s. Like, they quit doing it in the 80s. And we haven't seen that since. Why? And I'm like, man, that is a stylistic decision right up at the front of the movie telling you how to take this movie. So I think it might have helped me watching this movie, how to like frame this experience just by observing that title card with the copyright symbol and the date and the name of the company. Like, that was so weird, but I thought, okay, this is an old school drive-in midnight movie. And so I was thinking that way when I was watching it, and in that frame of mind, I kind of really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It
I
is
hate
solid,
liking a
just not
Disney
quite.
movie. I hate it.
Yeah, like it's definitely leagues ahead of the Predator, but I still liked Prey a little better, I'd
I
say.
still need to see Prey. Is the
Yeah.
Predator the one that I saw that has Arnold Schwarzenegger making a cameo at the very end, and all these Predator dogs have dreadlocks? And
Yeah, yep, I remember the Predator dogs with dreadlocks.
I'm
Yeah.
serious. That's one of the 5 worst major studio releases I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't believe how bad it was. Let's review this one, unless you've got anything else significant to say about the film.
I don't think so.
What's your 1 to 10 score on it, Ben?
So I would be inclined to give it a 7, but the combat choreography, the action scenes were so cool, and that is what I wanted to see in a film that centers on a Predator character that I gotta bump it up to an 8.
Wow.
You truly are a Predator nerd, because you can
Yeah.
criticize this movie substantially, but you love it at its concept so
Yeah,
much that
yeah.
I get it. I get it. There are definitely movies like that I can say, yep, this is wrong, that's wrong, but you know what? I don't care. I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't think I loved it an 8. I am going to give it a 7. And I think it's worth going to the theater to see. If you can kind of clear your mind of all the socio-political bullshit in the air, and if you're on the right and you hate what Disney does with all their movies, they're bastardizing all your macho stuff that you fell in love with, clear your mind. Clear your mind. Just go into this and just have a fun time at the movies. It's a good movie. It's actually a surprisingly good movie. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll end on.
Ben's score is an 8.
Oh,
Said
Ben
7.
scored. Nope.
Oh, hold
You
on
just
now.
went up to a 10. There you go. Ben scores an 8. Scott scores a 7. Yeah, we'll get the scoring thing figured out, or maybe we'll just drop it all together, because it seems to be more trouble than it's worth. But we're gonna leave the new releases behind at this point, and we're going to do a look at a brand new 4K that's just come out. The Descent just came out from Lionsgate Unlimited, and it came to me yesterday. And so I watched it last night. I was eager to see this one because The Descent is a really dark movie, and generally really dark movies benefit tremendously when upgraded to 4K from the enhanced resolution, but really from the new layers of color depth and blackness depth and better whites that aren't blown out that you get with UHD. And I popped in my Blu-ray for comparison. My Blu-ray, though, is the South Korean Blu-ray because it had better packaging. I'll show you a picture of it in just a little bit. So I don't know what the American Blu-ray looks like, but I'm assuming the South Korean one's probably the same transfer as the American one. And there's definitely a significant, very significant improvement in picture quality on this movie.
Nice.
But first I'll show you the packaging. This is the front cover with the slip. And when you take the slip off, it looks like that.
That's cool.
And then when you open it up, the back cover looks like that.
Ooh.
But if you turn it upside down, it looks like that.
Wow.
So it's kind of neat packaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it comes with a 4K and a Blu-ray. And
How much was this one again?
it's $34.99. It comes out technically on the 11th, just a few days from now. But I think if you order now, they're going to go ahead and ship it. It's only available at Lionsgate Limited. And it's a new 2025 scan supervised by director Neil Marshall. It has Dolby Vision. The cover art's by Matt Ryan Tobin. It includes both the rated and unrated versions of the film. It has a lot of the special features from previous releases, but they did add a couple of new 20th anniversary special features, including a 47-minute new documentary called What Lies Beneath, Exploring the Descent, and another one on the film score called Poetic Pain, the film score. And I watched the 47-minute documentary, the new one, and it was pretty good. I don't know that I learned anything that wasn't already in the older older materials. But the important thing is the way this movie looks. I want to bring up some other imagery for us to look at while we talk about it. It's crisp. Usually I don't expect the crispness to be enhanced as much as what I noticed here. But the first thing I noticed, and all throughout the movie, is the big difference between my Blu-ray and the 4K and how sharp the image was. The colors were the next thing I noticed most. The colors are so much more vivid and vibrant on this 4K. Not that this is the most colorful movie on earth, but when this movie goes red, it goes super red. And when I popped in the Blu-ray for comparison, it looked more pink on the Blu-ray. It's red as a mofo on the 4K.
Those flares in the caves and stuff.
Yeah. Now, in terms of seeing into the darkness, though, it wasn't like I expected, but it's not bad. I think the way they shot it, they didn't want you to see very far into the darkness. Maybe the sets weren't. There was no set there or something. It all seemed intentional. I didn't notice any crushed black levels, but there are good, solid blacks in this movie. And you don't see into them the way you would if it were a movie shot today with digital cameras. Today, they're afraid of pure black. They're absolutely terrified of pure black. They want you to be able to see forever into the darkness, and I hate that look. I don't like that look. I like for there to be actual, true black in the image, and you get that in this movie. I don't think some people are going to like that, but I love it. The sound is the next thing. It's not a revelation. I was hoping for a revelation because I thought in the cave with all the water dripping and bats and these monsters going everywhere, I thought the whole thing had the opportunity to be a truly outstanding experience. But it's still a good experience. It's not an Atmos track. It's a 7.1 track. I don't think that's the same thing. Although I did hear what I thought were some sounds coming from my height speakers. So I could be wrong. The first part of the movie, I didn't notice a lot of stuff in the surrounds. There's not a whole lot of ambience in the first half of the movie, but once they meet the creatures, for some reason, then you start hearing the water dripping on the left and the right and behind you. And there are certain moments that they really have fun with the directional speakers, especially when the women in the movie are being hunted by the creatures and the creatures are like moving all around them in circles because you hear this creatures moving around you through the left, right, and back channels. So it's got moments of directional usage, and it's got moments where there's a little ambience, especially with those water drops that really enhance the experience if you're sitting in a surround sound situation. But it's not consistent like that, and I think it could have been. So there's room for improvement, I would say. The score also gets boosted in the surround mix a bit, and I always appreciate that. So I give it an A for picture. And I think I'd give it a B or maybe a B plus for sound. And the packaging's pretty good. I don't like the spine. And I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd now. I like my old packaging better. Look at this packaging that I had from South Korea, guys, and tell me if you don't think it's better. That's South Korean. That's a slipcase. I like it better.
I mean, it's cool, but I like the new one better, I think.
Well, you're wrong. No. I mean, I think people feel both ways about it, but this is such a nice transfer. I'm going to have to sell that South Korean one. South Korea, man, they put out beautiful packaging. I also have the piano from South Korea. And even though Criterion has recently done it on 4K, I still kept that because it's so beautiful. The South Koreans, they respect their movies with beautiful artwork, man.
It's something with like marketing in East Asia versus North America. We tend to be very character focused in our poster art and stuff, and they're more idea focused in the East. So I do tend to, every time I see like old vintage Japanese posters and stuff, I always try to scoop that up because it's so cool.
Well, that's the movie. I don't want to talk about the movie too long because the show's running a bit long. Essentially, it's about a group of 6 women that go spelunking. There's a whole lot of claustrophobia and one set piece after another with them getting stuck in a collapsing cave. And they have to go across this bottomless underground ravine. And then they meet the monsters. And it's a harrowing exciting movie. I don't think it has a dull moment. It really ratchets
Mhm.
up nicely all the way to the end. The actors are all good. They're all good. I don't know if anyone's a standout, but they're all very good. It looks really good. The monsters look really good. David Julian's score is deep and brooding strings and distant, creepy horns. Like, it's got an awesome vibe to it. I really wish there were more David Julian scores based on this one.
Yeah, how many
Um,
survival horror films do you see that have an all-female cast too?
mhm.
Not very
So,
many.
yeah, so it's
Now, I do have a question though I want to ask. For anyone who's seen this movie, the character Juno, played by Natalie Mendoza, when the creatures are attacking them, she's killing a creature and she's like in a state of like, hysteria trying to kill this creature. And like one of the other girls comes up behind her and she like just turns around and her pickaxe goes in this girl's neck. And the girl dies. And that's terrible and it's sad. The girl is clearly goners. And like it looks like Juno, this character, watches this other girl die right there and she leaves her. She's sorry. I'm assuming she didn't mean to kill her friend. My goodness. And then later in the movie, the main character, Shauna McDougal might be her name, the actress, discovers that girl that got the pickaxe in the neck still alive. And the girl gives her a necklace that Juno had that says, I don't know, love every day or something. And I think the implication is that necklace belonged to the main girl's deceased husband. But what I'm getting at is that they try to turn this Juno character into the villain of the movie. And that's what I don't like about The Descent. I like the movie overall, but I do not understand why I'm supposed to hate this poor girl, Juno, who I think understandably accidentally horribly murdered her friend with a pickaxe because these monsters are all around them and attacking them. And if she had an extramarital affair with the lead girl, Sarah, I think was her character's name, with her husband, so what? Does she still deserve death by these Nosferatu looking
Yeah.
cannibals in the caves?
I think that's a really good point, and I think that if you made this movie and it was an all male cast, would they have done that? I don't think so. I don't think they would.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't think it seems a petty thing to do.
It does seem like a petty thing to
Yeah.
do.
I just like, why are they being so bad to Juno? It's like Juno did other things that were bad. Like she didn't bring a map with them. Like she wanted to do it on her own. Like that was dumb. But nothing that just I don't want her dead for that though. Like I don't know. And then the ending. Apparently there are two different endings to this movie. And I think when it was originally released in America, we got like the happier ending where the main girl Sarah gets out of the cave and survives. But
That is
then
true.
the unrated version, which the cast and crew like, has her getting out of the cave and surviving, but then essentially it's a dream and she's back in the cave and everyone's dying all around her if they're not already dead, and she sees her deceased little girl. Because the first opening sequence of the movie is Sarah losing her husband and her daughter in a car crash. And these other women are her friends, and they're taking on this spelunking journey to hell to kind of make her feel better about losing her husband and child. I don't know if I like that ending. I think you need a happy ending on this movie. I think I prefer the happy one. Where do you guys stand?
Uh,
I don't
yeah,
know.
that's tough. That's tough.
I'm
Good.
I like when movies depart from that automatic happy ending thing. I think it's a very American thing, and so I'm fine with bad endings, with sad endings.
Yeah. So yeah, I do tend to skew more toward like I love Night of the Living Dead, and we know how that film ends.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, and it's like
Yeah.
I can do bad endings, but so when you were describing the alternate ending, it reminded me of I think it was 47 meters, where the two girls are trapped underwater 47 meters, and they have the whole thing about her getting back on the surface and and then rescued and everything, and then it just kind of cuts back and it's like, nope, that didn't happen. That kind of thing just kind of feels cheap if it was like a dream and it cuts back and it's like, oh nope, never mind. I don't like that, and I would prefer just either they get out or they don't. Don't do the bait and
Well,
switch stuff.
when I'm watching this movie, I feel like maybe Sarah has a death wish because she just lost her family, and she just would rather be dead with them. But I think through having to survive all the things she has to experience in this cave, she like learns to want to live again. Because why else would you survive? Just roll over. Let the cave crush you. Don't be afraid of it. Just die in the tunnel that collapses, or let these Nosferatu naked weirdo monster things kill you. But she tries to survive. So I'm like, this is a movie about a woman trying to learn to want to live again and to survive. But then in the end, in this ending that the director and the cast and crew apparently prefer, she dies in the cave.
Yeah, so that doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't
So I'm a little
add up
ambivalent
as
about
well
the
to
ending.
me. Yeah,
But it's a beautiful film, and it's a creepy film,
yeah, it's cool.
and it's cool.
It's a cool movie.
If I had to pick the 5 best horror films since the year 2000, this is on that list.
Oh yeah,
I can't think of very many other horror movies that are better than this. I didn't love Dog Soldiers that we talked about last week,
right.
but boy, this follow-up film I just thought was leaps and bounds more refined and elegant and just
You definitely hit his
impactful.
stride with this film.
I give this one at least an 8. Dave, how do you feel about The Descent?
I would also give it an 8.
Yeah, 8 for me as well. It's a
Wow. Look how we all agree on some things.
It was my favorite movie that year when it came out.
2005 was actually a surprisingly good year if memory serves. Well, gentlemen, that's our 4K review. We're now going to leave the world of 4K behind, and we're going to enter the time warp. 2001, A Space Odyssey, from one of the most revered directors of all time, Stanley Kubrick. I want to start this little discussion off with you guys telling me, how did you come to this movie? Do you remember?
I remember seeing a documentary, a Star Wars documentary, and it talked about the inspiration from 2001. And so that's when I went back and watched 2001. And it was specifically talking about special effects, not thematically, but it was talking about special effects.
How about you, Ben? This came out decades before you were born.
Yeah.
Many. I mean, it was one decade before me and Dave were in the world, but.
Yeah, so I remember it was in my college days. I went to visit my sister, and she had it playing at her apartment, but she switched it before I even knew what it was called. But I was like, oh, that's cool. She's like, no, that's boring. I'm not watching that. Eventually I figured out I had to like kind of do like a lost media thing and figure out which one it was. And, surely it wasn't that hard, but I figured out, okay, it's 2001. And you know me, Scott, I wanted to read the book before I continued watching the movie.
I'm glad you gave up reading Dune so we could finally watch it, though.
Yeah, that's going to be another.
So you did read the book then before you saw it?
Yes. And so it's funny because in the book, they go as far as Saturn, but I think in the film, they only go as far as Jupiter. And
yeah, in the book it's Saturn.
Yeah, what's interesting about, and I believe it was Stanley Kubrick approached Arthur Clarke, the author of the book, who he's an absolute legend of science fiction literature. I think he approached him. He said, I want you to write a novel that I can base a movie on. And it's interesting. I don't know if that was just like a reflection of the time because people read more, that novels that were adapted into films would get more traction as films. But
yeah, that is kind of a weird thing.
He would solicit Arthur Clarke to write the book so he could make a movie on it. But
I think most people assume that it was a book first. But the book that inspired 2001 is another Arthur C. Clarke book called The Sentinel.
Yeah.
And then Arthur C. Clarke wrote the book called 2001 either during or after production of the movie. And I think a lot of people, when they're trying to understand the movie, they use the book as a guide, and it kind of helps a bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was one of my takeaways too. Is like, man, I'm so glad I read the book because there's a lot here going on that I just would not understand otherwise. Um, but
I'm going
yeah,
to attempt to synopsize this for the audience. You guys jump in whenever you feel necessary. I'm going to try not to take too long doing it, but 2001 is not an easy movie to synopsize.
right.
I think it's basically 3 movies in one. The first movie is on ancient primitive times when man is still in like an ape man and doesn't know how to use tools yet. I don't even think we had fire at that point. And they're just kind of living and surviving. And then all of a sudden, this monolith appears. This dark rectangular object that you see on screen right now appears to these apes, and it drives them nuts. They're screaming and yelling, and it's aggravating them somehow. One of them touches it. Lo and behold, the next scene we see is one of these apes playing with bones of some animal, and it starts smashing one of the bones on the ground, and it starts realizing that it has an impact, that this bone can be a weapon. And then the ape people start using bones to kill animals with, and that's when they start eating meat. And the animals start dying that they're eating, and the monkey man throws this big bone up into the air, and in the classic transition that everyone remembers from this film, the bone becomes a spaceship circling the earth. And then we're entering the second the second part of the movie, where there's this man, a government official of some kind, who's traveling via Pan Am, which used to be a major airline and isn't now, so the guest's wrong about the endurance of the Pan Am brand. But there's a Pan Am like space shuttle flight to the moon that this guy's on. And I think if there's one part of the movie I think Stanley Kubrick overindulges in, it's this part where we're like seeing how we can fly to the moon on a space shuttle. Granted, this movie was made before we landed on the moon, so maybe it was just more fantasy and spectacle. But by the time we were all born, we'd walked on the moon. So seeing people travel on a shuttle just isn't all that futuristic anymore. But anyway, he gets to the moon. There's this group of people that are asking him, "Oh, why are you here? Have you heard about this mysterious thing going on the moon? What is it? It sounds like it's a really big deal." And he's like, mums the word, "I can't say anything." Or I think he pretends he doesn't know anything. But then he's in a meeting with other officials on the moon, and they've discovered either another monolith or the same monolith that was there with the monkeys in the first part of the movie. And this official meets with a lot of other astronauts in front of the monolith, and it emits a signal, like a screeching sound that causes them all pain. Then we cut to a spaceship called Discovery heading towards Jupiter because the monolith signal that it was emitting, and I'm not even sure you get all of this from watching the movie. Some of this is from the book and from other explanations. The monolith was sending a signal to Jupiter. And when they figured that out, they decided they needed to send a ship to Jupiter. So that's where our stars, 2 people with top billing in the movie, Keira Dulé, and I can't remember the other guy's name. They're on this Discovery vessel headed to Jupiter, and they're the only humans conscious on the ship. I think there are 3 or 4 other humans in cryosleep. And this computer called HAL, H-A-L, it stands for something. And actually, HAL is all one letter off from IBM, yes, which was a known computer thing at the time. So that was kind of clever. So HAL is their automaton, machine, the computer, like Star Trek, to talk to the computer. It controls everything aboard the ship. It gets to where the humans, Dave and I can't remember the other guy's name. Do you guys remember the other guy's name? Dave and Frank? I can't remember. They don't trust Hal because Hal makes a mistake on something technical. And as soon as they realize, oh my goodness, Hal is fallible, I don't think we can trust Hal anymore. They go and have a meeting about it inside a little space vessel, not realizing that Hal can see them and he can read their lips. And he can understand that they're planning to shut him down. And in the interest of his own self-survival, Hal then sabotages them. When they go out to fix something outside the spaceship, he kills the other guy, who's not Dave. I can't remember his name. And then when Dave tries to rescue him and bring his friend back into the ship, Hal won't let them in. So Dave has to find a way into the ship, and he does. And when he gets in there, he shuts Hal down, and Hal's terrified. He's like begging for his life, as a computer voice does. And then he like recites a sad little poem as his language gets more and more rudimentary until he finally dies. And then the ship arrives at Jupiter. And the monolith is there, floating in the air. And this is when Stanley Kubrick gets all trippy as hell, because for the next, like, I want to say it's 10 minutes. Maybe it's not that long, but it feels that long. There's just like a tunnel of lights that Dave, in his little miniature space vessel, goes through. Just a tunnel of weird psychedelic lights and music and weird little landscapes. Until finally, Dave arrives in this weird, pristine, white room that, so far as I can understand, is an alien-made room that they want him to feel comfortable in. And they're just kind of observing him there, perhaps. But this is not really made clear in the movie. Anyway, he starts aging. I don't know if he actually ages quickly or if we're just seeing him at different points through time. But Dave grows very old, all by himself in this weird little white room that may be a zoo. That's kind of my interpretation. And right upon his death, lying in the bed, he sees the monolith standing at the foot of the bed, and he reaches for it. And then at the end of the movie, Dave turns into this baby, like an embryo in a glowing sack. And then the baby gets big, and it's like bigger than Earth, and it's moving toward the Earth, and it's looking at the Earth. And then the movie's over. How'd I do, guys?
That pretty well sums it up. Yeah.
All right, what the hell's this movie about? What is Stanley Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke trying to say with this book and movie? Which one of you has the theory?
Yeah, so there's a couple of moving parts. Touching on Hal's malfunction, which it's interesting because I almost want to say it's tangential to what the overall message of the story is, and kind of the story of the monolith and mankind and things like that. If anything, like, because from what I recall, the reason why Hal malfunctions is because Command was lying to the astronauts about something. I think it was about their destination, something about what they're doing there, and that affected his programming to the point where his logic was, if I remove the astronauts, I don't have the conflict of lying to them anymore. And that was why that was solving that problem.
Yeah.
I can't remember what Command was trying to hide from them, though.
Well, I actually just watched the movie in preparation for this episode, and the movie actually doesn't say what they're trying to hide, only the nature of the mission, like why they're going to Jupiter is what they're trying to hide, but not why.
Yeah.
And
so
the crew's not expendable or anything. Yeah, I don't remember. But to me,
they're not explicitly expendable, but apparently
Right.
they are expendable.
Well, like that was just part of Hal's malfunction, where the logic was like, if I remove the crew, I remove the having to lie to them and the conflict that was creating in his programming. So, but yeah, so the whole thing though is like the idea of transcendence, I guess, when you kind of evolution of technology is that we'll create androids and then we'll be able to put our minds inside androids. We'll transcend flesh that way, but even beyond that, we'll transcend the android state. So the baby at the end, from my understanding, is supposed to represent that final stage of transcendence, and he becomes a star child, which is essentially like the race that created the monoliths and was seeding them throughout the galaxy to bring the species such as the human race to fruition. From my understanding.
See, I also think it could, since it's a baby, since the image is very distinctly a human infant embryo baby thing, it's almost like the technology that the monolith helped inspire the apes to get to develop the first tools using bones to kill people. And then it also kind of led to the creation of AI, of HAL, the computer.
Mhm.
And if you consider the fact that the weapons that the apes used were used to kill people and that that's bad, and you consider that AI was fallible and that it could also create death in its own way, that maybe the space baby was the monolith saying, okay, you guys have screwed it up way, way bad. We need to start over. So now you're a baby again.
Mhm.
Like you've
Well,
evolved and it didn't work out. I don't know. I
yeah,
definitely agree it's about transcendence.
like
But what's the
rebirth
monolith
too.
doing?
Yeah,
So Kubrick and Clark are saying that humankind, at least in this story, have been helped to the next level of evolution by this monolith when needed.
right. Like the monolith is basically like, think of it like Prometheus is fire in Greek mythology, where it imparted knowledge to the apes, and then they learn how to use tools, and that's progressed all the way to this thing, this level we are in 2001 in the story, where we have spaceships and things, and then the next stage is this transcendence to star child state of the big baby. So
Yeah, I don't know where we go from there.
yeah, no, I think that's supposed to be like the final. Which then they had to 2010 sequel.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't remember it being a very compelling movie though, but I should see it again.
yeah,
I whenever I've watched this movie, because I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now, like 10, at least 10 years apart. It's not the kind of movie that you can rewatch too often, because it does have a lot of languidly paced things for dramatic cinematic effect. I think it's definitely worth seeing in a cinematic environment, on a big screen with good sound, once, twice. It's not a repeat casual television watching kind of a movie. But I've seen it each time thinking I would understand it more. And I think maybe to some degree I have, but it also raises more questions the more I watch it.
yeah,
So I was happy to see somewhere that Clark and Kubrick agreed, if anyone ever figures this movie out, then we failed at our jobs.
yeah.
They did not want it to make absolute total sense.
Good. That's
There's
good.
definitely a sense of cosmic mystery to this, but yeah,
But it feels like it means something. It
Yeah.
so very much feels like it means something. Like emotionally, viscerally, on some level, when you watch it, it's like a religious experience, you know? But you can't quite like put it into words, like what it means. I don't know. But I was going to also say the visual effects are, like Dave said earlier, this movie and Blade Runner hold up in ways that a lot of other films from 60s, 70s, and 80s don't, because it has no optical compositing, meaning there was no green screen or blue screen work. All of the visual effects in 2001 are in camera. They either had mirrors reflecting models or paintings directly into the lens, or they rewound the film and exposed it over and over again with different parts of the film getting different little pieces of the image, so that they never had to composite anything. When you composite stuff, you get the Star Wars effect, which I love Star Wars, but the optical compositing, the green screen and blue screen stuff in those movies really stands out. You
Yeah.
notice it.
It leaves a telltale little halo around
Mhm.
everything that travels.
Yep. There's none of that in 2001 or
No.
in Blade Runner. And those two movies really stand the test of time technically because of that, I think. So even if you don't like what the movie's about, I think you can at least appreciate how nice it looks and how well the imagery really holds up. Also, notably, Alex North wrote a score for this film that was completely rejected by Stanley Kubrick, and instead he used a lot of classical music. He uses Strauss for a lot of the ecclesiastic moments, and he uses creepy Ligeti music for whenever the monolith's on screen, that stuff is unsettling, and I know it drives some people crazy because it's just like, oh, it's like wailing voices and like atonal, like droning instruments. Like, it's pretty creepy. And then he uses some Khachaturian, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think it's Khachaturian for some of the like more somber funereal type moments. But it's a very famous soundtrack that a lot of people discovered some of this classical music by watching this movie. It's kind of like Fantasia almost in its marriage of visuals and well-known music. It won the Oscar for visual effects, and it was nominated for director, original screenplay, and art direction. And it didn't do as well as MGM was hoping when it was originally released. But a lot of hippies that smoke pot discovered it.
Yeah.
And at least anecdotally, the legend is that the movie had staying power. Like, it was in theaters for over a year because hippies started going to it on a regular basis. Like, they would drop acid before the show started or during the intermission, and it would hit in time for that psychedelic tunnel of lights sequence. And apparently that was all the rage. So that's my thoughts on 2001. Do you guys want to add anything to the conversation on kind of a deep movie, but also one that's open-ended on purpose so that we're not supposed to completely understand it?
I will say that the first time I watched this movie, which would have been probably in the early 80s, I hated it, absolutely despised it. And it's one of the few movies where I hated it so much that I only had, there was nowhere to go but up in subsequent viewings. And I've probably watched it. I think this last time I watched it this past week, and my appreciation of it has probably gone up by 10-15% every time I watch it.
Yeah.
And I with a lot of movies, my appreciation of it, if nothing else, it's saved by the visual aspects, and I think on that alone, this 2001 is amazing to me. But I'm going to have a really hard time giving it a score, giving it I would almost have to do it on the basis of different things,
Yeah. Well, you don't have to give it a score if you don't want to, because some people think it's silly to try and do that. But when it comes to just your own enjoyment or appreciation of the movie, that's what I kind of try and relate it to. But I'm like you. Every time I see it, I like it a little more. I appreciate that it makes me think, that it makes me want to try to figure it out. It is a visceral experience.
Yeah.
So if you want it all wrapped up with a bow at the end, you ain't going to get that. No. You ain't going to get that.
Something that I thought was interesting that I hadn't thought of before when I watched it most recently was that the special effects not only hold up, but the set design holds up well too. And what was interesting about that is that when you watch it, a lot of it is very much, grounded in the 60s when it was made, like the hairstyles and some of the clothing and things like that. And so when you watch it, the set design is so good that when you see the actors, it's almost like retro futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because the everything else, the interiors of the ships or the ship and the computers and all that looks very contemporary. It looks like it could exist right now.
I think they call it NASA punk now.
Yeah, NASA punk. Yeah, and but the hairstyles and a lot of the wardrobe is very much
still a little dated.
Yeah,
still a little dated. Yesterday's vision of tomorrow.
And it's funny because
fun.
I've seen some TV shows and at least one TV show that I can think of. I think it's a Disney show that is very retro futuristic, and I think they may have been inspired by 2001. I don't know, because again, a lot of the tech was very current, but everything else was kind of set in an idealized, 1950s or 1960s. The show was about a guy who sells plots on the moon for this like housing, this big like housing complex, luxury housing complex that they're building on the moon. It turns out that it's all fake. I can't remember what the name of the show is, but it reminded me very much of A Space Odyssey.
Well, guys, we have a very exciting opportunity here to ask some of our important questions to an all omniscient, all knowing, all powerful, mysterious creature. The monolith from 2001 is here right now.
I'm so excited
to take some of my questions. Monolith, first, I just want to thank you so much for coming to be on our show. We know that you don't do a whole lot of interviews, that you're a very private object of eternal mystery. And so it really means a lot that you're
Thanks,
here.
mate. Thanks for having me on the show. It's good to be here. I've tried to stay out of the spotlight since the film came out, but I think it's time people acknowledge what we monoliths do for society, Monolith
Sure.
awareness, man.
Monolith awareness, absolutely, absolutely. How about we start with how did you meet Stanley Kubrick? And how did you get to be cast in one of the greatest science fiction movies of all time?
Well, I was shopping for blooming watermelons and I look up and who do I see? Some wild-eyed bastard staring back at me. Kind of creepy like, if I'm being honest. And I think to myself, Monolith, that's bloody Stanley Kubrick, thumping melons. He says he's making a new film, that I'd be perfect for a part, and that's it, man. That's all it took. Movie history,
Fascinating. Well, 2001 is certainly your most famous role, but I think people will be interested to know that it's not the only job you've had. Can you tell us some more about what you've been up to since 2001 came out in 1968?
I had a part in Sense and Sensibility, but I got cut from the film. Ang Lee said the film was running too long, or some bullshit like that. So that was bollocks. After that, I did a few commercials, took up odd jobs, whatever I could to make ends meet. Sometimes people hire me to be a wall, to create shade for old people when they sit out in the sun. And that's meaningful work, Makes me feel good to know some old twat isn't going to go sour in the sunlight because of me.
Oh, no. Oh, goodness, yeah. Sour old twats. Nobody wants that, so we're thankful for your work there. I hope you don't mind if I ask you a few more really kind of timeless questions. And you don't have to say more than you feel comfortable, because I understand. But this is kind of a big one, and we're all keen to hear your answer. Is there a God? And if so, why are we here?
First, I can tell you there is a God. But he's really particular about what I can and can't say, There's a confidentiality agreement somewhere, but I can tell you this. It's not about you. It's not about humans. It never was. It's about the worms.
The worms. Well, that's interesting. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. All the big man ever wanted was to perfect the worms. And he accomplished that a long bloody time ago. Humans were just meant to feed the worms, and I've got to give you credit where credit is due, man. You do a great job feeding the worms. I've heard God say it.
So, I gotta say, this is a little hard to hear, that we're less significant in God's eyes than worms.
But you had to know God has a wicked sense of humour, didn't you? I mean, this is the guy who made the platypus, put nipples on men, and made Carrot Top a celebrity. Those are clues, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about the worms. He's got big plans for them. But he's done with humans. He says he would have pulled the plug already, but the worms like eating you, so he keeps you around. They especially like the eyes and the genitals.
Ugh, oh my. Well, I gotta be honest, I don't think I was ready to hear some of these answers. It's quite a paradigm shift that you've laid on us tonight. But let me ask you one more question, if you don't mind. And it's another big one. I'm kind of bracing for it. What is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything?
42.
Right. Well, I think we better end the interview so we can sit with this information and digest it for a while. I want to thank the Monolith for coming on our show tonight. We appreciate your time, I think.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. And keep feeding those worms.
Oh. So
What a
that
guy.
didn't go quite like I'd hoped. You know, they say you should never meet your heroes and be careful what you wish for and don't ask questions you're not prepared to hear the answers to. I think that's what just happened tonight.
Yeah. We know why now that they say that.
I think
Worms,
now
man.
I think we need a brief palate cleanser.
Here's a new taste treat. The corn dog. Plump, juicy wieners are dipped in a thick, golden Southern-style corn batter that seals in all their freshness and flavor. If you like hot dogs, you'll love corn dogs. Everybody does. Try a corn dog with your favorite beverage. At the refreshment corner now. Corn dogs.
I lost my co-hosts. Come back, co-hosts. I'll get you. I know what to do. There's Dave.
I'm back.
And there's Ben. Welcome back, guys. Corn dogs. Who doesn't love a good corn dog? All right, now, Dave. Dave, you are the only one who's seen this movie. This was your pick
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
I just want to.
I can't believe I have to follow the monolith, man. That's a tough act to follow.
I think you can handle it. You can lift us. You can lift our spirits with this film. I have no doubt. But I want to ask you, in 2025, we can see all kinds of things in the movies. We can watch Cillian Murphy detonate the world's first atomic bomb. We can see big blue Avatar people fly dragons through Pandora. And we can even watch Demi Moore crawl out of another woman's butthole. I think that happens in that Substance movie. Anyway, why should we watch Bradley Cooper cook shit?
Okay. I will be the first to admit that this movie probably appeals to a very specific audience. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. But it's got an amazing cast. Bradley Cooper, Sienna Miller, Uma Thurman, I think, Emma Thompson. And I'll synopsize it. What it's now. This is. I really have to sell this because this is a movie with like I think a 29% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Really?
I think that it. I don't know. I don't understand why. I think that it definitely punches above.
So you picked a
weight.
loser.
I did. I picked. It's an underdog. I'm rooting for the underdog here. But it basically, to synopsize this movie, it is about a world-class chef who is on a quest to earn his first Michelin star, and he crashes and burns spectacularly. And it's not enough that he does this to himself, but he also takes out all his friends and colleagues in the process and earns himself lots of enemies, runs up massive amounts of debt, gambling debt, becomes a drug addicted, homeless loser, basically.
Damn.
And decides that he's going to, pay a penance for what he's done, and spends 5 years shucking 1 million oysters in an oyster bar in New Orleans. And that's basically where the movie begins, is him shucking his millionth oyster and then, walking out of the oyster bar to kind of redeem himself. And this movie is a very kind of typical redemption arc movie, except for the fact that Bradley Cooper, he plays the part of Adam Jones. That's the name of the chef. And Adam Jones is an asshole from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. That part doesn't really get redeemed. He's always an asshole. And he never really fulfills the quest that he sets out, at the beginning of the movie to get his Michelin stars. And so on the basis of that, it may not be the best redemption movie, but if you are a fan of, these like things like The Bear, which is really popular, these like chef movies, where there's a lot of angst and a lot of drama. If you've ever worked in the kitchen, I think this movie appeals to that audience. In fact, this character, Adam Jones, actually exists. If you're a fan of The Bear, if you've been watching The Bear on FX, he actually exists in that universe. There is a little cameo where Bradley Cooper. There's a picture of Bradley Cooper at the end of season 3 of The Bear, if you pay attention, hanging on the wall. So there's kind of a nod to Burnt, but I think it is a much more worthy film than the 29% Rotten Tomato score would imply.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's got Emma Thompson and Alicia Vikander in it, and I
It
like
does.
both of them quite
Yeah.
a bit. Are you sure you weren't just hungry when you watched this movie?
I'm positive. I've watched it. This is one of my guilty pleasure films, and I've probably watched it, I don't know, half a dozen times, maybe.
Really?
Maybe even more. I don't know.
Wow.
How is the food photography in the film? Like, how good does the food look in the movie?
It looks good, and interestingly, Bradley Cooper actually trained with Gordon Ramsay in preparation for this movie.
Wow.
And a lot of the cooking, a lot of the prep and the cooking they do is actually real. So
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it might seem like a weird thing to ask, but when you think about the logistics of a film set and making food like look good after it might be sitting there for a while, and like
it don't look good long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like something that sets up like films like this apart for me, is because of that extra layer of logistics, and just because food's just awesome to look at. And sometimes it's just more about like the line cook drama sometimes in shows like this, and the food kind of takes a background. But this one I would actually be excited to see.
I think food's more fun to eat.
They show the food as much love as, the actors, I guess.
Get in my belly!
So this is a sleeper hit in Dave's universe, if you feel like taking a chance on it.
And I will say that this movie does have, I think, like almost a 7 on IMDb. So it's not like
that's pretty good for IMDb.
Pretty good for IMDb. I don't know why there's so many haters on Rotten Tomatoes for this movie, but
maybe the disparity is because just not enough people have seen it. Because when the numbers aren't high enough, they're not as reliable.
I don't know. I read some of the Rotten Tomato views, and they said really hurtful things.
Oh, Dave, I didn't know it meant so much to you.
It does.
What score would you give Burnt?
I'm gonna be realistic. I want to give it a 7, but realistically, it's more of like a 6. It's maybe a 6.5.
The heart wants what it wants, Dave.
The heart wants what it wants.
6?
6.
There you go. Solidly on the good side. That was Dave's pick of the week. Then we have Ben's pick, which, Ben's picks are always something to be a little scared of. But I have seen this one as well, and it's not too scary. Let me see if I can bring up the assets for it.
It's scary in a different way.
Here it is.
Face scares, but
Possession from 1981. And as far as I can tell, the director's name is Andrzej Zawaski.
No.
Is that how you would pronounce that, Ben?
Yeah.
I just want to say he's a Polish filmmaker who passed away in 2016. But this is probably the film he's the most well known for. And it stars Sam Neill and Isabella Gianni. And Ben, please be my guest and try to tell the audience what this movie's about, because I don't know if I could do it. And I've seen it 3 or 4 times.
Okay, so put succinctly, this film is acrimony distilled.
Okay, what the hell does that mean?
So I don't know.
That's a Benism.
Yeah, acrimony is like the pain that is inflicted on you, or that you inflict on somebody else, that you really care about, and they know how to hurt you. That is this whole movie, basically. And I believe, I'm not 100%, but I believe the director at the time was going through a divorce, and he was channeling that into making this film. And it shows.
He said that it was pretty autobiographical in some ways.
Yeah. So Synopsis, essentially, Sam Neill plays a businessman who returns home where he lives in Berlin. Like neither of the characters, I believe, are German. I think they're both foreign transplants, but in any case, he arrives home and realizes that he and his wife are very estranged, and he comes to realize that she's been having an affair, and almost immediately these just visceral arguments ensue between Sam Neill and Isabella Johnny, and they're just so like brutal.
Yeah.
Like even before it gets into like physical territory, the screaming, and the way, like the expressions,
Well, it's not just anger; it's anguish.
yeah, absolutely. Like they
They're
just have
both so anguished.
they have these all out just brutal screaming matches, and it does come to blows. And what's interesting though throughout is that, and it's a theme that's explored in like more directly in the film in terms of what comes later, but they both still kind of care about each other. Like Sam Neill, in between screaming matches, he's like, I don't want to see you this way. I want this to work. I want, and she realizes that she made a mistake having this affair, and she's absolutely ripped apart as a woman. Like she was lonely, she had an affair, and now she's destroying her family because of it. That's how she feels about it, and it's tearing her apart and driving her to absolute hysteria.
But who is she having the affair with?
Right. So originally, like, it turns out she had this boyfriend named Heinrich, a German man who was a very esoteric individual. Like he's just kind of a rock star character. He believes in kind of new age philosophy and things like that. He's just kind of the antithesis of Sam Neill's character, who he's not cold per se, but he uses the term proper, and he says it's just not proper once he finds out that she's having the affair, and he calls her closest friend to try to get the details. And
I feel like the few scenes between the two men, Sam Neill and this German guy, are a little homoerotic too. They're very odd. They're off kilter.
Yeah, part of that is kind of the new age approach to the Heinrich character, but so they come to the decision that they're going to separate, and she's going to go live with her
They have
boyfriend.
a kid too, we should say.
And they do have a kid, yes. And those moments he's like the neutral ground for both of them.
Yeah.
They both individually spend time with the kid, and they each have their tender moments. But you can just literally, there's a moment where Sam Neill crosses the threshold where she's sitting with the kid, and she turns, and she just like absolutely nails that apathetic stare of a woman's scorn. And that it's like such an understated moment, but it's just it's so powerful.
Oh, Isabella Johnny is.
Yeah,
this is a performance for the ages.
She has some incredible close-ups in this film. Like one of the stills you picked out was that one that emulates that painting of Lucifer when he's covering his face when he's crying, and that's, oh my god. Yeah. So, and I guess like one of the. Well, let me continue synopsizing.
Yeah, you haven't even gotten to the octopus screwing.
Well,
what?
Yeah. So about, I want to say halfway through the second act of the film, it's revealed that she's actually having a cheating on Heinrich as well, and it's a revelation to Heinrich.
With an octopus?
Well, and it kind of crosses into Hellraiser territory, because there's some kind of Lovecraftian tentacle-laden creature that she's been living with in this rundown apartment there in Berlin. And Sam Neill hires private investigators to try to track this place down, and the private investigators get murdered by her and, I don't know, ostensibly fed to the creature.
Mm-hmm.
And as it continues to progress, all of this. Well, it's also interesting to note. So Sam Neill he moves on, and he actually finds another love interest in the form of the teacher here on screen.
Also played by Isabella Johnny.
Yeah, and that's something he's like, is this some kind of joke? Are you wearing a wig or something? And he pulls on her hair, and it's like he knows this woman is exactly like his wife, who he's fallen in love with. And as the story progresses, as Isabella Johnny continues going to see this creature, it eventually evolves and morphs into an exact clone of Sam Neill.
Mhm.
And the clone ends up, by the end of the film, well, I don't know if I want to jump to that point right now, but
Oh, I think this is an older movie. Let us play our little thingy. Here it comes. Here it comes. Spoil away.
yeah, but by the end of the film, the clone ends up turning on both of them and kills both of them, and they kind of come together by the end and realize that they did still love each other after this whole thing, and they kind of have like they kind of go out with a bang together, but they got die at the hands of this creature that kind of represents again their acrimony. That at the end of the day, they did still love each other, and it is what they wanted, but just both made mistakes and took them.
But it goes further than that too, because once the clone that the monster that turns into the Sam Neill clone, once it goes off with another woman, where with this shot right here, this is the very end of the movie, is the teacher version of Isabella Johnny's in their apartment.
Right.
Sam Neill's knocking on the door, and you
That's
start hearing all
insane.
these bombs going off, like it's the apocalypse outside.
Yeah, it had kind of sort of on the margins. They'd show the shots of the Berlin Wall, and it's very obvious that the Cold War is going on. And that's another thing about I want to comment on the aesthetics of the film. It's a very cold film aesthetically.
Yeah.
The blue is the predominant color in this film.
Very.
And even though it's so dark and bleak, it is just beautifully shot. There's some great compositions. They kind of have these sort of surreal moving camera moments too, like here where he's leaving his job because he wants to focus on his family.
This
And
is when the Steadicam first came out. So this is in the wave of first films, along with The Shining, I think,
Mhm.
that took advantage of Steadicam technology that they didn't have before 1980.
Yeah, so that you definitely have the undercurrents of the Cold War in the background of this film. So that, in my mind, that's kind of like it's a commentary just as much on that point in history with the explosion
Well,
at the end and the themes of division.
yeah,
But
the characters have doppelgangers, and it's about division. There's like a good version and a bad version of both of the main stars' characters, and then the country of Germany is split with the wall. So I'm not sure that it connects narratively more than that. That just in every way he could, the director was trying to like throw duality and split personality at us. Just I'm not ultimately sure. This is kind of like 2001. I'm not exactly sure
yeah,
what the
it is.
film is telling us to feel, but it certainly is provocative.
Yeah, it's definitely it has surreal elements to it too, where it just doesn't play everything straight.
Well, screwing an octopus will do.
Yeah.
There she is. She's screwing
I'm
right
not,
there.
I'm not gonna lie, Ben. At first, like my mind was starting to wander, and then you said octopus, and I just snapped right back.
Well,
That's
the
kind of what
director,
the film
the
does,
director
too.
got the financing by going to a guy at Gulf and Western, which owned Paramount at the time,
yeah,
and he pitched it as a woman screws an octopus.
yeah,
And the guy was like,
okay,
"Here's money.
Here's the money.
Here's money. Go do it."
Yeah.
All right.
And then we have to talk about the centerpiece moment when she has the meltdown, or the miscarriage rather, in the metro tunnel.
Well, I want to preface it by just reiterating that this movie is a little bit like 2001. That it confuses me, but I love that it provokes me. This movie's the same way, but this movie is worth recommending to everyone who loves movies in any way, shape, or form, just for Isabella Johnny, because her performance in this movie is something out of this world.
Absolutely.
The Cannes film, not that this is the mark of absolute perfection, but the Cannes Film Festival gave her Best Actress that year for this and Quartet that she was also in. That movie sucks ass through a straw, by the way. But this movie is provocative, and she just, whenever she's on screen, she's electric. Like Ben said, just in her looks, just in her eyes. She's a French actress. She's a little bit of a diva, the director says in some of the behind-the-scenes material. And I couldn't understand if she was suicidal during the making of the movie or prior to the making of the movie, but the director talked at some point that she maybe tried to kill herself.
Wow.
She's a very volatile person, and she has said that it took her years to recover from this performance. So make of that what you will, but
Yeah, I can believe it. It's
what she does in the scene Ben's discussing.
yeah. So she talks about the character of Isabella Johnny talks about how her life, like in so many words, she says that her life has been dictated by two sisters, the sisters of chance and the sisters of faith. And after it's revealed she's been doing an octopus and her hysteria kind of reaches a peak, she's coming home with groceries and she goes through a metro tunnel and then she just absolutely has this
Well, right before that, she goes into a church and just stares at Jesus on the cross. And it's like a camera really high looking down on her. And she just like,
right here.
She's like whining. She doesn't say any like words, but she's just like scared and whining. And like she's like a child being scorned in some way.
It's interesting because there's a similar moment with Sam Neill's character in the beginning when he's kind of on his bender and he's trying to call and talk to somebody and he can't even like speak because he's just so, overwhelmed. And I feel like with her, it's like that, but it's also that her faith is gone. That sister of faith in her life that tries to keep, her towing the line of what's socially acceptable and her, as a good person. And then so after that, in the subway tunnel, she just has this absolute fit, and then she just has this, I don't know, just pus and blood coming out from under her dress and things. It just fills the subway, and
I think she's
the floor.
miscarrying.
She does say that. She said that it was the miscarriage of my faith, and so she just has chance left.
But like it's a bunch of tapioca pudding just kind of coming right out of her down there, like pulling around her, and like blood and tapioca pudding.
Yeah,
like it's a visceral as F moment.
Yeah,
it's a acting, like I don't know. It might be one of the top 20.
Absolutely.
Performances of all time. I don't know, but she's outstanding. As Sam Neill's good, but he can't. He's not on her level. She's like somewhere else. So you did a good job synopsizing that.
Yeah, I have to say too, this film.
I'm convinced. You convinced me, Ben.
This film has a unique, I don't know, place in my heart, I guess, because I saw it not intentionally, but I saw it at a time like after I was going through a bad breakup, basically. Like I literally just was at Scott's house and he had that awesome Mondo Vision case for it. And I was like, what is that? He's like, I guess we can watch it.
I was afraid to tell you because that meant we might have to watch it again. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm in the mood for Possession.
But we watched it, and it was hard to watch at that time in my life for that reason, but it also had a strange catharsis to it.
Yeah.
It's like vindicating, I guess, to feel that way during a breakup, that acrimony and understanding what it is and why it's so hurtful. Yeah, it's a very powerful film. So
for me, on just a base level, it's so pretty to look at that I can watch it. Like it's hard to understand, perhaps, but I just love the aesthetic of it so much, the austerity of it. I love blue. Color movie blue, it's a good way to get me, And these people are beautiful to look at too. So it's just a really pretty film.
Yeah, it's like a strange prescription after a breakup to watch this film and also Chungking Express.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah. So.
I was going to say that Carlo Rambaldi, who did E.T., the extraterrestrial, did the effect, that little critter, also does the effects here. Carlo Rambaldi's done all kinds of movies, but he thought he was going to have months to do the effects. And the director, when he landed for shooting, when Carlo Rambaldi arrived, he was told, you got like tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day we're shooting this octopus monster. So all the work that Carlo was planning to do was thrown out the window, and everything you see on screen, from what I understand from the behind-the-scenes material, was all slopped together like last minute. And it's like mostly obscured in darkness, and it's covered in very generous amounts of slime to try and cover the fact that it's not anything fancier than that.
That sounds familiar. That sounds like something.
It does sound familiar, doesn't it?
We would have done.
Yeah. It sounds familiar. So it's a very provocative film that if you're into horror movies, or this is kind of a film for film lovers. I don't know if it's a film for general audiences, because general audiences like their movies to wrap up and make more perfect sense than otherwise. But Ben, what's your personal score on this one?
Oh man,
You can do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the reason why. I think I gotta give it a 10.
Bam.
I was trying to think of a reason what might hold it back, but I think for what this film's setting out to do and how beautifully it does it on a technical level, and the acting is out of this world. Yeah, this is definitely a masterpiece film in my opinion.
You're not alone in that assessment. I know a lot of people that regard this film really well. I don't personally love it quite that much,
It's
but I do
definitely
really.
there's
Oh,
some,
that's David. I keep missing the wrong ones. Here I am. I give it an 8. Dave hasn't seen it yet. Who knows
I
what
have
he'll
not,
give it?
but I will now. I'm for sure
But-
going to watch it now.
it's definitely a sometimes food. It's not what I'm going to reach for very
Yeah.
often if I'm giving it a 10, but it just as a film, yeah, it does everything it sets out to do.
I think there's definitely stuff here, even if you don't ultimately love the movie. But if you love film, there's stuff here you got to see.
Yeah.
Because it's just some exceptional work. That was our last movie we're going to review tonight, fellas, if I'm not mistaken. We ended on a bang there, or an octopus orgy.
That's good. I've had to pee for like the last half hour. So.
Oh, really? Well, since our show's going much longer than we'd anticipated tonight, we're not going to belabor the point too much. I don't think there was anything I really wanted to say, except that we'll be back again next Sunday at 6:30 with a whole new program. And Arthur Cullifer, our friend who directed Headless, and we've worked with him on several movies. Ben, you met Arthur, but Dave,
Oh, yeah.
you've known him. I think I met him in 2000, and you've known him about that long. So he's an old friend. He'll be on in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks from tonight. So thanks for watching, guys. And I hope you'll tune back in next week when we do this all over again. You guys got anything to say?
No.
Nope.
All right.
All talked out.
All right. I'm going to end the show then. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you again next